So this is one of the classes that you need. And this is literally the class that we're actually going to start doing right now. So let me get to it because it is 7:11. It's Slurpee time. This is real estate practice, which is one of my favorite things. And just oh yeah, and so somebody asked if you should have your ebooks pulled up. You do not need to follow along with your books. If you want to have notes out, you can take notes if you'd like. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever makes you comfortable. If you want to follow along, we go at such a high level in these classes. We just cover the main points. So we're probably jumping around in the books. I don't know if you'd even be able to follow along in the book specifically because, in chapter one, we're going to cover, probably 10 or 15 things, but I don't know if those are going to be very specific to what you're looking at on your screen. So you'll see how it goes though. Let's see. All right. So you get this. This is what your portal is going to look like here. You'll be able to log in, and then this will give you access to your mandatory chapter quizzes. So as you go through each of the chapters, at the end of the chapter, there's going to be a quiz. The end of your quiz, you have to do all of the chapter quizzes. There's 15 of them per chapter or per book. And then once you've completed 15 chapter quizzes, it'll unlock your final for you. And then once you take the final, you get your certificate. All of the exams, whether chapter or final, are open book, open note. Cheating is highly encouraged here, folks. Do not let the pressure of not understanding what in the world they're talking about keep you from taking your final. Yeah, I mean, it's just we got to make sure that you're getting through here. We want to make sure that you know what's going on. Like you can, once you get to your chapter, if you don't remember what's going on, look in your book and do it. Get it done. So principles, we're going to talk about some basic real estate concepts. We're going to talk about some experience and advice that I personally have. We're going to talk about everyday activities that agents are going to go through. We're going to go through a few of the contracts and disclosures and some of the real estate forms. So just some quick terminology for you. We have buyers. Buyers are people who want to purchase real estate. Typically, they get a home loan, a mortgage for that, or they pay cash. The final exam, sorry, someone asked a question about, if it's open book, how much time do you complete the exam? I want to say the finals, man, I don't think I haven't taken a final with these guys. I think that the finals,
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay. So you get 2 hours to complete your final and it's open book. So sellers, people who want to sell their house in exchange for money. Real estate agents, that's us. That's us guys. We are putting buyers and sellers under contract and we're putting them into escrow and then we get paid a commission once that closes. Escrow is a neutral. Okay, it's 2.5 hours. There you go. Even better. More time for you. It's a neutral third party. Escrow is a neutral third party that manages the transaction. And what that means is that they're looking at both sides and they're collecting the money and they're holding the money. They're collecting documents and they're holding the documents. They're getting everything ready. And then they're the middleman that makes sure that everybody is doing exactly what they do so that one person gets the deed, the other person gets the cash. The lender is going to be the person who is going to assist the buyer in procuring financing, and then prospecting is your number one job. Prospecting is lead generating. That is finding the business, because without business, you've got no job. So let's get started in real estate. So it says, in practice, we will also cover some finance and principles to better understand the real estate world in general, which is also true for practice. We're going to or for principles. We're going to cover practice and finance. And then in real estate finance, we're going to cover practice and principles. We cover it all. And the same thing, we're also going to touch on each one of these. We're going to touch on a little bit of property management. We're going to touch on a little bit of, I don't even know what I don't even know what the other electives are. We cover all of it. Contract law. We cover all of the things that you need to make sure that you pass the test, because we want you to pass the test, and that's the whole point. Raul, I do not do anything with passwords or logins. That is something that if you forgot your password, you have to do that through the website or call the 800 number tomorrow, probably during business hours. Fortunately, I do not have any control over that stuff. I just teach it to you.
Hey,
Uh,
Brian.
yeah, do it.
Sorry.
Yep.
um, so are we starting with practice? In my
Yep.
calendar said principles, so I'm confused.
No, we are starting practice.
Okay. Yeah, and my calendar said principles. Sorry.
Um, who's talking? Sorry, I couldn't see whose light
Oh,
was.
Carolina.
Carolina. Okay. Um, that's weird. I was thinking maybe did you because if you had maybe started like you were going to start in November. In November, we're going to start with principles. So
No, no. Today.
okay, all right. Well, man, that was the only thing that I could. That was the only thing I could really think of that would
It is
probably
okay. It's indifferent which course. I just
sure.
wanted to make sure I start with the right course.
Yeah. We're on practice, real estate practice. So everybody should be in practice.
Okay. Thanks.
Now you got me thinking. Did I pull up the wrong PowerPoint? Am I doing the wrong one?
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
This is Ro again. Sorry, bro. Hey, no, I just need the Zoom login. I guess the invite. I got it through the phone, but I was trying to get it through the computer so that way I can log in through the computer instead of doing it off my phone. The Zoom
Oh,
class.
gotcha.
Yeah, I
Uh,
signed up. I was in Stephen Brown's or Stephen something's class instead of yours. I was like, okay, I think I'm in the wrong class because he's teaching finance.
okay.
Um,
Hey,
I got.
on your screen, there's a little eye there's a little eye in the circle at the very top. If you click on that, it should give you a link that you can copy. And then if you email that to yourself, then you would be able to do that. You can just email it to yourself from your phone. It'll just you can just leave this one on your phone and then it'll log you back in on your
Right.
computer and then I'll go real slow so you can catch up. It's fine.
Okay, you said on the. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there should be an I and it should say something about the copy the invitation.
Okay.
Someone asks, out of the three books, which one do you think is the most difficult for students? The one that I have gotten the most feedback from saying that it is the most difficult is going to be the finance. Um, I don't particularly feel like it should be the most, uh, the hardest one, but some people say that it's the hardest one. But open book, open note. So get it done. Use the Control F, and that brings up a little find box, and then you can put in keywords that pertain to that question, and then it'll jump right to the section that has all the answers to it. It's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal. All right. So real estate drives our economy. I don't know. Oh yeah, there you go. Becca's got it. She nailed it with the index. Oh, if you have a hard copy book, yeah, but you have an index in the back of even in your ebooks there, so it still works out. There you go. I think Raul made it. There he is. I see him twice. Awesome. Okay, so real estate, it is one of the biggest economies that we have is the real estate market. It drives almost everything. Some of you you work in insurance, maybe you work in construction, maybe you work in state, the state utilities. Almost all of that stuff is affected directly by the real estate market. So yeah, well, here's an example. Sales for furniture, pools, home improvement, art. If there was no places to put art, who would buy art? You can't hang art. Well, I guess you can hang art in a trash can. I guess that'd just be weird. But anyways, so in 2007 we had a pretty big crash. I'm sure some of you were probably around for that. You probably knew what was going on. We had the real estate market was probably the biggest reason why we had such a big crash in our economy because people started foreclosing on homes. The banks started foreclosing on homes that predatory lenders had just really screwed everybody over and put a lot of people at risk of having their house foreclosed on And, you know, it started happening, and it started happening fast and furious. And there was nothing Vinicius could do about it. Uh, so the benefits of a real estate career, you know, I've talked about a little bit about myself, you know, here with the high earning potential, you can do it. You know, being in real estate is a limitless job. Um, you get what you put into it. If you are out there, you're lead generating, you're doing the work that you need to do, even as new students, even if people who are just like, you know what, this is my second month, like I'm getting serious about this. You should be out there talking to your family, your friends, reminding them that you're going to be in real estate. That was the one thing that I took from my training when I started. I was going through the classes. I was working a full-time job. I was like, man, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with a full-time job? How am I supposed to get out there and find people? And the person who was training me at the time, he said, well, don't you have coworkers? And I'm like, of course I have coworkers. They're like, start telling them you're going to be in real estate. And it literally just clicked something in my brain. It was like, oh, duh. Why wouldn't I tell those people? So I just started talking to all of them and just said, hey, I'm going to be in real estate. Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. You know, everybody wants to talk about it. They want to figure out what's going on. What do you know? What are you seeing? And as soon as I was able to talk to these people, I was like, look, I'm going to have my license in a few months. Like, if you ever need, you know, anything or whatever, like I want to be your guy that you go to. And so when I started doing my training was around July. I got my license in November, and December 1st, I had my escrow open because one of the first people that I talked to about my real estate license said, hey, I'm ready to buy. When I told him, hey, I got my real estate license, he said, thank goodness I'm ready to buy. And it took us 3 weeks to get him pre-approved, find a house, open up escrow. So if I hadn't started in June, July, August, September, telling people and talking about real estate, it would have been, it could have been months or months after I got my license before I got my first deal. And then my first 4 or 5 transactions were all from my coworkers. I got my first buyer in December, and then I got my first listing in January. So you never know who's going to need your services. So why not start talking to them now? Telling all of your friends, telling the people that know you and love you and care about you already. They want to do business. They want you to succeed. They don't want to see you fall flat on your face. That would be mean. I mean, maybe you have like a weird aunt that like is super vindictive or something like that because you didn't like send her a Christmas card one time, but that's her, you know, that's on her. That's not your problem. So talk to the people that you know that love you, that want to do business with you now, and just start telling them, hey, I'm getting my real estate license. They're probably going to be very supportive. They're probably going to have a ton of questions. And then you can be like, I don't know. I'll ask somebody who knows. I'll find out that answer for you. You don't have to know everything, but as long as you tell them that you're going to find out, you'll be fine. Fake it till you make it, people. Freedom. You are not mandated to work in an office. I like to work at an office. I tried working from home for the first like 4 years, and I was pretty good, but I did notice that my attention wandered very quickly. I was like, well, I got to send some emails. My wife's like, I'm going to go to Target. And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming with you. And then I was just like, yeah, no big deal. I was looking for any excuse to not do the work. So I have an office now that I come to every day. It keeps me focused a little bit, but there are tons of people out there. We have 127 people in this office, and there's only like 12 offices. So the majority of the people in our office, they all work from home. We have areas where you can come and work in the market center if you don't want to have a dedicated office, but you just need a space to, you know, kind of get in there and do the work that you need to do. Come into the market center and you can be able to do that. You can do your business anywhere. You can go on vacation. I have taught a class, or I spoke at a different market center from the beach in Venice. It was the day we were going to be celebrating Father's Day, and one of the market center in Covina asked me to talk at their team meeting, and I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I was like, well, I'm just gonna let you know, like, I'm going to be in an office. I'm going to be at the beach, and so from the beach in Venice, I talked to a different market center and you know, talked about it. So you can do whatever, you can do what you want. Like I said, if you have this guy here and you got a reliable cell phone, you're in business anywhere you want to be. Real estate mentors are available to you. They advise, counsel, and support new licensees. I myself as a mentor for my market center. I'm sorry, did I just say I is a mentor here in Victor Valley because we all rednecks here. Yeah, so I'm a mentor here. We've got probably about 7 or 8 mentors here. Most people who are on the LC usually are open to being mentors for you. So wherever office you're going at, you have somebody there that you can look up to, who you can ask questions to. My mentor didn't even know she was my mentor until I basically just forced her into it. When I was new, I called her up at like midnight and I was just like, I'm trying to write this offer and I don't know what to do. And she's like, just email it to me. I'll look at it right now. And so like at 11 o'clock at night, I woke her up and she looked at my thing. I don't recommend that to anybody, but um, you know, she was available to me and that was really nice. And so I've always said, I was like, that was really cool. So I make myself available to my people as well, because I want everybody to succeed. So you find a mentor who you get along with, that's someone that can be around for periods of time and who you trust is going to give you good advice. They'll look over your contracts. They'll answer your questions. They'll be there for you to help you learn and develop your business. All right, commissions. So commissions is the money that you earn at the close of escrow. It's typically calculated as a percentage of the closing price. For example, $1 million home, if you earned a 3% commission, your commission is going to be 30%. So the median home price in most areas is probably going to be in the $800,000 range, the median price. My median price up where I live is about $300,000 now. Maybe I think it's like 310. And typically the average commission now is about 2.5%. So commission is set by the seller. The seller is the person that pays for all the commission for the whole entire transaction. So if I am a listing agent and I have a house that is going to be listed for sale, I am going to talk with the seller and I'm going to say, how much money are you willing to pay in the amount of commission that they're going to pay? That is decided by the seller. They can ask me what the average is. They can ask me what the thing is, but there is no set commission price. There cannot be a set commission price. And I got to be real careful what we're talking about here specifically, because you can't really talk about commission in a very public forum because you can't set a commission price. So, and since this is going out to YouTube, I don't want to be accused of any like antitrust, collusion or anything else. So, the industry standard is about 6% for the entire transaction, but that is 100% up to the seller. The seller can offer 5%, the seller can offer 4%, and that amount is split between you as the listing agent and the buyer, or the agent who represents the buyer. So in this example for the $1 million, the example here is going to be, it says 3% for one side, but the total commission that the seller is going to pay is going to be probably 6% in that case. So broker compensation. Broker compensation, this is what we call the market center splits, or your commission splits. Typically, offices will start you at a 70-30 split, meaning you take 70% of your commission. So if you're $30,000, you're going to make actually $21,000 of that money. Again, the what is that? $9,000 goes toward the office, and that gets applied toward any profit share, all that other stuff that the market center deals with. So every market center is negotiable. Some people are on an 80-20 split. Some people are on a 95-5 split. It really just depends on where you want to do. Now, because we have a capping system, for me personally, I used to always think, oh man, I want to do the 80% or the 90% or whatever. I want them to take as little as possible. But the problem is that they'll take that 10% or whatever it is out of every single check, because I never reach cap fast enough before my year is up. So now personally, I close a lot. I want to just take the whole thing, take 30%, take 40%. I don't even care. Like just take 40% so that I can cap and earn my 100% faster. So that's something that you can that's a strategy that you get to use as an agent, something that you can deal with. Now, if you end up going to a different, like a non-Keller Williams office or something like that, then you have to go with whatever they offer you or whatever. I can't say what they do or do not offer. So, I do know that a lot of brokerages out there, though, start new agents who have no experience at 50-50. They will take half of your money right up front, and you just get to deal with it. I definitely don't like that. I don't think that that's very fair to you as a new, like you're already struggling as a new agent, right? You're trying to learn the business. You're trying to figure out where you're getting your leads from. You're trying to talk to people. You're trying to convince people to, hey, I'm a brand new agent, but I'm still going to be a good agent. So use me instead of somebody who's been in the business for 21 years, right? You fought and clawed your way to get the business. And then your broker's like, no, we're going to take half of your money. Like you don't even earn half of the money that you just, sacrificed your life for right now. I'm just kidding. We're not frontline workers or anything. Like, don't get me wrong. If you guys are nurses or whatever, thank you very much for being, nurses. I think Kimberly was a police officer. Thank you, Kimberly, for being a police officer. You are an amazing person. So areas of brokerage activity. Most people who get into real estate, they start off with residential real estate. You know why? Because you know somebody who has residential real estate. You know somebody who owns their house, and you know people who want to buy a house. It's just the easiest to break into. Most of your friends, families, and relatives, they are all going to, they're your potential clients. So you have the ability to start off on the right foot. Single family dwellings, which of course is any 1 to 4 unit house or duplex or triplex or quad. That's a single family unit. Condominiums, you can buy and sell those. Luxury homes, usually in the $2 million or more market. Anything under, well, unless you're in Beverly Hills, then it's probably 8 million or more. But anything under $2 million, it's not luxury. That's just regular old real estate, people. Alex, you falling asleep? Get your dog back over here. She'll wake you up. So contracts are real straightforward. It makes it a lot less intimidating when you're dealing with residential real estate. You don't have to worry about there's opportunities for you to do commercial real estate, and it's totally fine. But commercial real estate is a real long game. It usually can take years to close an escrow. You do make a lot more money at the end of that escrow. You can make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 each time, but that may take you a year to make that $70,000. And $70,000 a year is okay in most parts of the country, not in California. I think $70,000 is probably below the poverty line. So I really don't know. No, there is no other test for commercial property. This same license and this same training will get you through there. We don't talk a whole lot about commercial. So if you are super interested in commercial, you're going to go hang out with the commercial agents. You're going to go make some friends in the commercial division and say, hey, I'm really interested in this space. What do I need to do? And you'll go talk to somebody about that. But residential real estate is where most of people find their success. It's easier to get into. Like I said, your sphere of influence is going to be chock full of potential buyers and sellers. And these are also going to be people that know you and love you and want to do business with you. They're going to trust you with their biggest purchase of their life. They're going to trust you to sell the biggest investment they made in their life. So, yeah. Here's some examples that are super out of date. So we'll just go ahead and skip those. So you can do a specialization. There's quite a few different options here. So you have your commercial property as a specialization. Again, there's no other license needed. You might have to look into additional training or whatever for those types of things if you want to do that. Business opportunities. In California, business opportunity is considered real estate. So you can buy and sell a business. Maybe Uncle Joe wants to sell his donut shop. You can sell his donut shop as real estate in the state of California. And you don't need a special license. Uncle Joe could just list with Brenda. It's no big deal. Property management. If you want to get into property management, there are other things, and we'll talk a lot about property management in this course, specifically in principles next month, and in finance, we talk quite a bit about it. So just know that kind of stuff is definitely coming up here. Investor sales, which of course is flipping houses. You buy a house real low, you put some money into it, fix it up, and then you turn around and you flip it for profit. That's something that you can get into as well. Track sales. Maybe you don't want to, you want to sell new homes that have just been built or wherever. You can go to builders, and builders need real estate agents as well. And then, of course, in commercial, you have office buildings, shopping malls, hospital, warehouses. You do have to be familiar with the rates of returns and cap rates and gross rent multipliers and all that other stuff that goes along with the kind of the investing side or the commercial side. The sales cycles are slower, like I said, but the commissions are typically larger. And then agents typically work with a commercial group. So the simplest and the easiest is working with real estate, just your regular houses, single family homes, that sort of thing. I would say the most complex is going to be, commercial buildings with dealing with leases or, trying to deal with, $5-6 million, commercial properties. There are 3 types of agency relationships. An agency relationship is the relationship you have with your clients. So when you sign a listing agreement, you have a listing agency, you have an agency agreement with with your client. You have a fiduciary duty to your client to be honest and loyal and protect their interest in their property and protect their desires, which is, of course, getting them the most money for their house. That's what they want. They want the most money for their house. So you have a fiduciary duty to make sure that you give them, you get them as much money as they can get for their house. Of the buyer's agency, the buyer has, when you're working with a buyer, the buyer's agency is a little bit looser unless you have an exclusive buyer agency with a buyer. Buyers in California have a little bit more leniency, which means that they can have 5 agents working for them at one time. And then basically they can go, whoever finds me the house, the best house that I want first at the best price or whatever, then, that's going to be the agent I go with. Because in the state of California, you do not have to have an exclusive agreement to work with a real estate agent when you're purchasing a home. A smart agent who thinks that maybe that's happening or whatever, they will ask that buyer to sign an exclusivity agreement that says, hey, you're only working with me and I'm the only one that, is going to help you buy a house, because I don't want to drive all over, God's creation and show you 25 houses and write up 45 offers and, have them all submitted and negotiating all these and working for the next 40 hours, for the next week and a half for you to go, oh, I'm going to go with this guy over here. Like, that's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. I don't get paid until I close escrow. So I'm not going to work with you if you're not going to work exclusively with me. So you have that option to do that. And, but a buyer also has the option to not sign anything and just go with whoever they want. So yeah, correct, Sam. There is no contract with a buyer. Even when you've signed an offer and you've submitted an offer on their behalf, the only way that, if they have like 2 agents, if they say there's 2 agents working for them, and then they both put in offers on the same house and they're competing against each other, I feel like that would be a real complex situation. And frankly, I feel like that might be a little bit, that would be unethical on the part of the buyer for doing something like that. But so Simone asked about realtor increase of property. We don't have any control over the value of property. That is 100% at the seller's discretion. So there, the question is, so the realtor should increase the property value at the risk of being out in the market longer or make it a fair price. So yeah. And we'll talk about pricing for sure. That's definitely one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about here, because becoming proficient at pricing homes correctly for the current market is what is going to set you apart from, frankly, there's agents out there that still don't know how to do it. So is having a contract with the buyer a good idea? And that is, yeah, it can be. Most of the people you work with most likely are going to be people who you already know and trust. They're going to be family and friends. They're going to be part of your sphere. They're going to be a friend of a friend, that sort of thing. So you really don't have to worry about it too much. If you get some random person from, like, I don't know, the internet, right? So someone from Facebook's like, hey, Bryan, I don't know who you are, but I really want you to be my real estate agent. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's talk about what your needs are. And then, they kind of give me real wishy-washy answers, and they make it seem like, maybe I'm not the only person that they're doing this with. They're trying to, it's a tough market out there for right now for buyers. Like, inventory is super, super low out there. So most buyers are competing with 12 to 20 other people for every single house that's out there. Sellers are getting multiple offers. Like, it's cutthroat out there right now. So buyers are doing what they got to do. And they're like, well, maybe if I have 15 agents out there working for me, trying to find me a house, maybe one of them will find me something I can get into. So if you feel like that's what they're doing or whatever, you can tell them, hey, I'd like you to sign a buyer exclusivity agreement with me. So that way I know that I'm not wasting my time with you. And if they're not willing to, then you probably know that they already have other agents they're working with, and they don't want to be locked into anything. It's like, look, if you sign this contract that says you're going to work with me, and then you cancel the contract and go with somebody else, then there's no harm, no foul. All contracts are cancelable 100% in the state of California. You can't lock somebody in and force them to use you for anything, listing or otherwise. But you have to make sure that they understand that, and then they can say, okay, I'll use you exclusively until I don't want to use you anymore. And then we just, need an email basically that says, hey, I don't want you to be my agent anymore. How many properties can a realtor juggle ideally? I had 7 escrows going in the month of July. That was a real tough, that was a tough time. I also had probably another 6 listings and 2 buyers. And it's 100% up to you and what you can handle. Some people are like, I'm going to do one thing at a time. Like, and that's just your personality, whatever you got to do. Some people are like, I can do 25 escrows on a sleepy day and, take 5 buyers out and look for houses and, take pictures at a listing, 2 hours later. Like they love it. It's really all going to be 100% up to you and what you can do. And as you can see here, the third thing, it says dual agency. So in the state of California, it is allowed for you to represent both the buyer and the seller. As a new agent, I will disclaim to you right now that I think that it's a terrible idea for you to do something like that. It is very hard to do. It can get very complicated, and frankly, it puts you at risk, liability to be sued. The number one reason people sue real estate agents is because the buyer isn't happy with the purchase. That's it. Sellers, as long as they get their money, they walk away, they're happy, they don't really have any big problems. But the number one reason that real estate agents get sued in this business is because buyers were unhappy. So
that's why he says,
if the buyer knows that you're working with the seller as well, and at the end of the day, they think, I am unhappy with my purchase. I feel like I could have gotten a better price, but my agent was also working with the seller. They're going to sue you. They're going to sue you. They're going to sue your broker. You have insurance. Everybody has to have error and emissions insurance. So everybody's going to have, your insurance, whatever, but that's going to cause your rates to increase. You're going to sue your brokerage. The brokerage insurance is going to increase. It's just a really terrible thing to go through. If you're going to double in a deal, it's very easy to double in land deals. If you take a land listing, someone, hey, I have a parcel out in the middle of the desert and I want to sell it, right? Almost never. I think I've worked with one other agent one time, and they brought a buyer to a land deal. 99% of the time, though, the buyer just looks you up and finds you on Zillow, says, hey, I'd like to buy that land. You go, okay, cool. Do you have an agent? No, I don't have an agent. Okay, cool. Let's go open up escrow. There's not a lot involved in a land deal. It's really just, okay, you put up your money, you put up the deed, and then we'll wait a few days, make sure everybody's good, and then we'll swap. It's very simple. With houses, though, it can be very complicated because there's inspections. Hey, well, there's negotiations for the repairs that need to be done. There's all these moving parts that need to be done. And for you to handle both sides, it can get complicated and it can really put you in a position of liability. So I don't recommend it. But it is possible for you to represent both sides of the deal, which means you earn both sides of the commission, which means you get big fat checks. And they are nice. Those are my thoughts on dual agency. There we go. I got on that. Am I supposed to be? Are these videos that we're supposed to be watching? I didn't notice.
Writing's not that easy, but
good.
Grammarly can
Let's
help.
talk about Grammarly.
This sentence is grammatically correct.
There we go.
Everybody, thanks for coming to this week's video blog. My name is Robert Rico. Nice to see you. Hey, listen, today we're going to be discussing an opportunity that you have as a real estate agent to double your income. Double revenue, man. It's called dual agency. You might want to stick around for this one. All right, hey, listen, it's understood. A real estate career has unlimited potential when it comes to income. I mean, it just does. Again, I go back to you get out of it what you put into it. As cheesy as that sounds, that's actually the truth. The more you invest in your career, the more typically you're going to reap the rewards. It's beautiful. If you really want to maximize the income when it comes to your real estate career, you might want to become what's called a dual agent. Dual agency. Now, what does that mean, dual agency? Well, dual agency in general, let's get that cleared up. Dual agency in general means you represent a seller and you represent a buyer on the same transaction. Is that legal here in California? Think about that. Is that legal here in California? It absolutely is legal. Now, what does that mean for you? If you represent a seller, that means you have the listing. Don't forget that. You have the listing, you have the representation with the seller. Good to go. You're going to earn commission on the seller side. You have an open house, buyer walks in, buyer says, wow, this is my dream house. Mr. or Mrs. listing agent who represents the seller, can you help me buy this house that I'm admiring here? Can you help me out getting this house? I want to purchase, I want to make an offer. Can you make the offer for me? Seller's agent, which is the listing agent, says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, I absolutely can. I too shall represent you. Now that's called dual agency, which now means that you as an agent will earn the commission from the listing side, and you will earn the commission from the buyer side. You'll get the whole ball of wax, the whole enchilada, the big kahuna, you get the whole damn thing, which is beautiful for your pocketbook. Now, there can be some complications when it comes to doing this activity, to being a dual agent. There are a lot of agents out there, a lot of real estate agents out there, a lot of realtors out there who won't touch a situation like this. They'll say it's a conflict of interest. How can I provide fiduciary duties to my client over here and fiduciary duties to my client over here at the same time? Many people find that very difficult to do. Some agents say, I have to give my heart and soul to one side only. I have to give my heart and soul to one side only. I beg to differ. I believe if you protect the integrity of the transaction, if you protect what was agreed upon, you're good to go. There's some great benefits to being a dual agent aside from financial. It makes it more streamlined. When there's just one cook in the kitchen, things go a lot smoother. You with me? When you have two agents battling it out because of, ego, or you have agents having a personality conflict, that causes trouble, and that in itself can leave rifts in the transaction. And the last thing we want is negativity in a transaction. You with me? We want this party to be nice and smooth. I believe being a dual agent in a dual agency transaction is fine, long as you protect both parties, particularly the transaction. They make an offer, seller accepts it, put it in escrow. Now you have to protect the contract. Long as you focus on this, you'll be fine. I've done it many times in my career. Not once have I had an issue with a dual agency transaction. Now, let me remind you though, there are some documents that must be used. In this particular case, when you're going to be doing a dual agency transaction, I want you to use what's called the PRBS. PRBS. And that stands for Possible Representation of More Than One Buyer or Seller. PRBS. Used to be called a simple form called dual agency, the DA. Nah, but we went out and changed it to the PRBS, Possible Representation of More Than One Buyer or Seller. And that's the one you're going to want your clients to sign prior to getting into a dual agency transaction, because that's their way of saying, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I have no issues with you being a dual agent. Be my guest. Just sell my house. Now, I want you to get the seller to sign this document, and I want you to get the buyer to sign this document. I want them both to agree and understand that you represent them and you represent the other. Everybody's going to be on the same page.
All righty. Well, this is a long video. So you have access to all these videos in your student portal. When you're going through the slideshow, you can click on the video link and you can watch these videos on your own time. That's Robert Rico. He's one of the founders of this school, and he is a awesome guy. So we've talked about so a couple of the things that were going on. Drew was asking about liability contract. So what he was talking about in the video, the possible representation of more than one buyer or seller, you have to explain to your clients, like say, hey, I have the opportunity to represent buyers if you want me, if you'll allow it. If the seller won't allow it, you can't represent anybody. So just right off the bat, if your seller's not comfortable with it, it's their decision. You have to ask your seller's permission. If you're a listing agent, you have to ask your seller's permission. Let's say you get a phone call and they're like, hey, we love that house. We don't have an agent. We want you to write up the offer. Can you do it? You can't say, yes, I will do it. You can say, yeah, I'm going to have to check back with you. Hold on one second. I have to double check with the seller if it's okay that I also represent you. You pick up the phone, you call the seller. Hey, I have a buyer who wants me to represent them. Are you cool with that? What this means is that I'm going to represent both sides of the transaction. What's really nice is that I don't have to fight with another agent for paperwork because I'm going to be that agent. And so those transactions go real smooth. They can, because you're the agent. You don't have to worry about, trying to figure out, oh, well, their agent's not getting back to me. This person, they don't ever answer my phone calls. They don't respond to my text messages. That my emails always get lost. There's always these excuses or whatever. So you don't have to worry about that. It can be very smooth, but also every single time you talk to your person, you have to take off your seller hat and you have to put on your buyer's agent hat. And you have to make sure that you are 100% not disclosing things that are personal or material to the sellers, to the buyers. You can't tell the buyers, hey, they're willing to take, much less money. I know that we can write the offer at, $5,000 less because I know that they're going to take it. You can't do it. You can't discuss anything like that when it comes to being a dual agent. And it gets hard and it gets real kind of headachy. And you're like, oh crap, did I just say something that could possibly lead to liability of, did I just slip and say, oh, we don't have to worry about it. I already know that, there's mold in the house or something, whatever, something crazy. And you're just like, oh crap, did I say that out loud? Who am I talking to right now? Oh crap, I forgot I wasn't talking to the sellers. I shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of things you just have to be careful with, and you have to think about. I do believe I double-ended my first residential house this year. I represented the seller, and then, the buyer came to me from Florida and he was just like, yeah, I'm flying out there. I'd like to go look at this house. And, I want it to be you. And I was like, okay, fine. And, it was difficult. And frankly, the house wasn't even, it was like a $150,000 house. It was a little house out rural, very tiny little home built thing, like DIY project. But it was still difficult, just trying to make sure that I kept those hats straight and make sure that I was like, when I'm talking to the buyer, and I'm only talking about buyer things, and I'm not disclosing things that I shouldn't be disclosing to the buyer. So, yeah, I mean, you can definitely study realty law if you want to. That's definitely an option. We cover everything that's in the realty law elective. We cover in all of the rest of the classes. So, and frankly, I like to tell people that this is what you do with these real estate classes is you get through the real estate classes. You don't really need a lot of this information when you get after you have your license. You just need to focus on getting your real estate license, using the material that you have, and getting through your real estate license, your courses. That's just your main focus there. Studying real estate law would be really useful, but you'll probably find out that you will never, ever, ever really use that kind of thing. If you get into a situation where you think that a law license would be really handy, your broker is gonna, and your E&O insurance is gonna cover your real estate, your lawyer fees, because even if you know most of this stuff, like you'd still end up having to hire a real estate lawyer to get you out of a pinch if you ever got into a situation. Thankfully, in 5 years, that was wood right there on my desk. I've never had to have a real estate lawyer, and I've never been sued. So, be honest, be truthful, don't sugarcoat crap, and you'll be perfectly fine in real estate. People want no bullshit. That's just what they want. They want you to tell it to them. They want you to let them know. People aren't going to agree with you. You're going to tell them the answer that they don't want to hear. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to be like, you know what, buddy? Like, I don't think that you're the person I want to work with. It's like, that's fine. If you can't handle the truth, then go let somebody else blow smoke, all day long. And that's fine. In 3 months, when your house has been properly priced and it sells at the price that I already quoted you at, because you wanted, $500,000 for your, $300,000 shack. That's just what's going to happen. You don't want to work with those people anyways. But again, we cover all this stuff throughout the entire 3 courses, whatever. We do not need to cover everything, all of this stuff tonight, because otherwise, me, I will get talking, and we're already halfway through our time. So I feel like we're not even halfway through the first slides. Broker salesperson relationship. So again, you are an independent contractor with your broker, but you're also an employee, which is real weird. So for the IRS, you are an independent contractor because you get paid on commission and commission only. You don't get paid an hourly wage. You are not an employee as far as you don't really have a job. But from the California State Department of Real Estate, they say you have to be an employee of your broker in order to sell real estate. So the state says you're an employee, but the federal government says that you're not an employee. We're just fall. We're a special people. You know what I mean? We fall into our own little categories here, and everybody usually gets excited, like, oh, good, I am going to be an employee. No, you're not an employee. Don't just. We are only there as for categorization, and that's it. So we'll move on. You do have to sign an independent contractor document. Let's see. Can I click the document? Let's see what this says. Hold on one second. Alrighty. So this is the independent contractor document. It just says that the broker represents that the broker is duly licensed as a real estate broker by the state of California. And then you put in some information there. The associate licensee, that would be you, that you are duly licensed as a real estate salesperson, which is going to be what you will have. And that's it. And then it just goes through all of the independent. This is a state issued form. This is not a person, like this isn't a form that, that the Keller Williams comes up with, whatever. This is issued by the state of California. That's what the California Association of Realtors is, that they are the ones that come up with all this stuff. So it covers what the broker has to manage for you, which is, of course, they just have to make sure that you're doing all of the right things, which means that they're just looking over, not looking over your shoulder. They are monitoring the transactions, usually via the computer system that we use. When you upload your documents, they have people who watch out for things, and they're looking at making sure that your documents are all in order, that sort of thing. So your broker, yeah, they can fire you, but honestly, they're not going to. I mean, unless you're breaking the law and doing something super unethical and you're getting sued or something, they might fire you. They might kick you out. But I feel like we probably have 50 agents here that have done one transaction a year. Like, we're not judging you. With one transaction a year is what your life goal is, then dude, we're going to help you out with getting there. It doesn't matter. We're not going to help. We're not going to do anything. How much working capital should a new agent have? How does that work? So it really depends. I mean, look, you can order business cards from Vistaprint for like $9. Your website you get for free with the technology, that you get from Keller Williams. You don't have to worry about a website. You don't have to worry about a CRM. You don't have to pay for Facebook ads. You don't have to do any of that stuff, because as a new agent, you really shouldn't be. You should be leading with revenue. And what we mean by leading with revenue, which is what the MREA book teaches, is that you don't start spending money until you make the money. So you don't want to go out and spend a bunch of money, buying business cards is kind of, important. It's something that you can hand out or whatever. But other than that, you really don't need much of anything else. You need to talk to your friends and your family. They most likely already have your phone number, so you don't even need business cards for them. And then once you get to the point where you're, have income coming in and you've closed 5, 6 deals or whatever, and you've got some extra money that's hanging out. And believe me, if you get to that point, you'll know when you have that extra money. Like it's very noticeable in your bank account. Then you can go in and start, hey, I'm going to start paying for more things. I'm going to, sometimes you order a sign. You order one sign. How many listings do you think you're going to have? You need to order 10 signs? No. You only need to order one sign. Put a listing sign out there. Frankly, right now in this market, you don't even need a sign. You put it in the MLS and that's it. But really, the only other there's a few other things that you can few other expenses that you'll have to come up with, namely joining the associations. You join the local association, you have to pay dues for the local association, but that covers your local association, it covers the state association, it covers the national association. So there's 3 different associations that you have to join, but usually you only have to pay the one fee for all of them. And depending on when you join, it's prorated throughout the year. So if you join in January, you're going to pay for the whole year right up front, which is, every association is a little bit different. I feel like some of them it's like $300, some of them it's like $700. So it just depends on what it is. And then you have to pay for MLS access. MLS access, which is usually you pay with your first dues when you join. So there's not a ton of expenses that goes along with it. It's really just about making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do and then use the money that you earn from that to build on that. Does the broker help with that through the yearly cap payment? Somebody says the best to get corporation LLC. Not as a new agent. Like eventually when you start doing a lot of business, if you have a team, you want to maybe protect assets that you currently own, that sort of thing. It's probably a good idea once you reach a certain level to incorporate yourself. So that way you kind of can protect your personal assets through that veil, the corporate veil there. And I feel like you can do that. I've been in it for 5 years and this is the first year I was like, maybe I should think about doing something like this. So it's not necessary for you to do it right up front. It's not going to make any difference in your business for sure. All right, let's go back to this thing. So you are an independent contractor. So factors in choosing a broker. You want to find a brokerage that seems comfortable for you. And look, I love Keller Williams. It's the only brokerage I've ever worked for. None of the other ones seem to fit me personally. They didn't fit my lifestyle. They didn't. Everybody was walking around in ties, and I'm a polo and shorts and flip flops in the summertime kind of guy. Today I'm wearing slacks and shoes, so don't worry. But I like me some flops. You know what I mean? And when I walk into a place and I don't see anybody else looking even remotely casual, I'm just like, nope, not for me. So a lot of the stuff didn't fit my personality, but here I felt welcome. I felt, that anybody that as soon as I walked in, someone's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I don't even know who you are. How's it going? And so, you want to choose a brokerage that is going to fit for you. You want to look at the successful agents that are in the office. You can go into any Keller Williams and ask, who's your top performers? What kind of business are they doing? How many teams do you guys have? That sort of thing. Because teams can provide a lot of support for new agents. Personally, I have 3 agents on my team. 2 of them are brand new agents who have never done a deal before. And one of them is an experienced agent who has not done a deal in the last 25 years. But I get to tell them and show them exactly what to do. And they're hungry enough to go out there and do it. And, they have transactions working right now. So it works out for both of us. I needed help and they also needed help. So we got together and we helped each other. Yeah, everybody splits commission. I don't know, what are you talking about with your brokerage? Because we kind of covered that already with the brokerage commission split. Yeah, teams also split commissions as well. But it's typically it's not as perilous as broker split. Got more people coming in. All right. Support, you want to make sure that you're asking your brokerage what kind of support they offer, office leadership, and what do they do? They offer training programs. Do they have classes that run all year long? Sometimes they only have one or two classes that run, only once or twice a year, that sort of thing. Or they'll be like, oh yeah, there's plenty of information. You look at YouTube. If you go into a brokerage and they say, yeah, just go to YouTube, that's not the brokerage for you. That is not the support that you need as a new agent. YouTube is a fantastic support device, and I've gone there many, many times, and I love using YouTube, but it is not the place where you go to learn how to build your business. Areas of activity. So, if you like, we have again brokerages or we have the groups, different groups for luxury. Like, it doesn't matter what Keller Williams you join, you can be a part of a different networking group, which is the luxury or the commercial or whatever kind of business you want to be in. And then trainings, we have the seminars, like I was talking about life, the bold classes going on right now. That's an 8-week class that runs once a week for 8 weeks. It's very intense. It's like 4 hours each time. And it's literally just a very super intense training for agents who are producing, and it's how to even produce even more. There's tons of things. So you ask around, ask questions to your brokerage and see if it's a good fit for you. Don't just go to a brokerage because somebody says you have to. I feel like there's been agents who have come in and they're like, oh yeah, my friend ends up having a brokerage. I really want to go to that brokerage because, they're my friend. It's like, all right, well, is your friend really going to support you in your business the way that somebody who, is not as close to you will? I have this talk with people who want to be, who are my clients, and they'll say, well, I'm really thinking about using, my friend. It's like, okay, well, how close are you and your friend? And they go, oh, well, we're not, we're really close. So I think that they're going to be, really honest with me. And it's like, okay, well, this is going to put a very heavy strain on your relationship because there's going to be times when they're going to have to give you bad news. Do you want to hear that bad news from your really good friend? Because it's going to change the way that you feel about your friend for a few minutes while they're telling you this really bad news. It's inevitable. Everybody always has. So it's just one of those things where you got to be careful with, what you do and who you do it with. And I like choosing a brokerage is the same thing. You go in there, ask questions. If your gut don't feel good, go to the next one. That doesn't matter if it's Keller Williams or not. I honestly, it just doesn't matter to me. Like, you go wherever you feel comfortable with. Goal setting. This is something that will change your life. I never set goals. I was just like, yeah, I was just going to do as much as I can do. And that got me to 4. I think it got me to 4 transactions, which just was me just trying to do it. And then I was like, okay, so I did 4. So the next year I was like, I'm going to double. I want to do more than 4. So I'm going to do 8 this next year. Once I set that goal and I started actually I did something very simple. I took this board here. I'm gonna show you my board. So this is my board right here. It's just a piece of plexiglass that I write on with a Sharpie. And then these are all the transactions that I've closed for the year. I'm almost to my goal this year. And then I keep my listings over here, my open escrows, and these are all my leads that I'm currently working with. It's very simple. It's nothing fancy. It's a $5 piece of plexiglass from Home Depot and a $1 Sharpie from the dollar store. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But looking at this list every single day, I say, oh, look, I'm almost to my goal. Do you think that doesn't fire me up every morning when I come in here? Like, shit, all I got to do is do 5 more transactions this year and I hit my goal. And then, of course, if I keep going, my goal was actually less than this, but I put more spaces on there because I'm tricking my brain into doing more than my goal, right? Because I'm a human being, so I'm very easily discouraged. If I just set my goal was 20, that would probably get me to maybe 18 or 19, but I'm going to set my goal for 40 so that hopefully I hit 35. You know what I mean? I know that I'm tricking myself, but it still works every time. I'm a human being and I'm stupid. My brain will just keep going for it to fill those slots because I don't want to have those empty slots up there. That's it. It's the whole psychology of it. I don't want to have empty slots on my board. So anyways, put down your goals. Simone, you said, what goal would you recommend for a newbie? I don't know, 100, 500, a million? whatever you want your goal to be. I feel like you start getting awards in your first year if you hit like 20, 25, 30. Yeah, I mean, realistically, you could do 100 transactions your first year. That's not unheard of. It's, you know, it's something you could actually do. What you're doing right now, let me just talk to you a little bit about the 6 personal perspectives. What you're doing right now is you're setting a limiting belief. You don't believe that you can do 100. So you're thinking in your head, well, I can't do 100. I'm not going to do 100. Take that out of your brain right now. That's going to be you are the number one reason why you won't succeed in real estate. Take it out. You absolutely can do 100 transactions if you get out there, start talking to your friends and family right now. Start talking to every person that you know about real estate right now. Start lining up your transactions before you have your real estate license. It's simple. It's easy. Not everybody's going to do it though. I feel like, what do we got on here? There's 65 people on here. There's 64 people. Look, someone just left. So we already lost one right now, but probably there's only going to be about like 10 people out of these 65 who are actually going to go on to be, producing real estate agents. Statistics, just the way it is. But honestly, every single one of you could be millionaires next year if you just take off your limiting beliefs and I can do it, and not, well, what should I do? Average statistically, you're probably going to do 3 to 5 transactions in your first year. But that's because you only believe that you can do 3 to 5 transactions your first year. So don't believe that you can do it. Just do it. I was a 5 to 10 transaction a year person every single year of my life until 2 years ago when I realized I was the person standing in the way of becoming a millionaire and doing $200,000 a year. So what did I do? I turned my brain off and I stopped thinking about all the things that I couldn't do and just started doing all of the things that I could do. And I'm going to make like $150,000 this year. And it was not even hard. I didn't even work half as hard as I did the last 4 years struggling to make $50,000 a year. It was very simple. And I've already set myself up for next year. Like I'll probably cap before February, which means that all of 2021 is going to be pure profit for me. So don't think about what you shouldn't be doing. Just do it. Like Nike says, right? I'm sure that's probably why they use that. Manifestation is exactly right. Change your mindset. Write your goals, measure your goals. Your goals can change all the time. When I started this year, I only wanted to do 20 transactions this year. But then I was like, I should probably do more than 20. I'm going to try and do 30. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do 30, why don't I do 50? So that's why. I think I settled on 40. I don't know. I haven't counted in a while. I'm just trying to fill up the board. I already set my goal and I wrote it down and I put it on there. All I have to do is just fill up the board and then I hit my goal. And I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm 6 transactions away from hitting my goal, whatever that was. So, think reasonable. When there's an issue, stay calm. If something comes up, and it's going to, every single time something's going to come up. Every transaction, there's going to be a hiccup, a bump in the road, a setback. I had people who were supposed to close 2 weeks ago, but their lender decided to change their financing at the last second. They didn't tell me. Then nobody disclosed it. Caused us a 2-week delay in our closing. Like, I guess I could have like flown off the handle and read them the riot act and all those other things, but it wasn't going to solve anything. So you just say, okay, what do we need to do to get this to go as fast as possible, or whatever you got to do. Common challenges during an escrow. Lenders are going to change the financing. They're going to be like, oh yeah, we're pre-approved with a conventional loan. And then all of a sudden they're going to be like, just kidding. We have a FHA loan. Well, buyers will do that to save money because FHA loans typically have a lower interest rate. They also require less money out of pocket. So they save money in the long run anyways. But FHA loans can take a little bit longer in escrow, and conventional loans have less restrictions on them. So they'll go in with an offer of conventional financing to get you to accept the offer. And when you do, once you're in escrow, then they change the loan type so that they're like, okay, good, we're in. Now we can have the better loan with the lower price and all this other stuff. Well, that's a material fact that has to be disclosed prior because that changes the contract. The seller can back out. If they change the contract, the seller can back out and say, no, we don't want that offer. We wanted a different offer. We chose your offer because of the financing type that you had. So that's something that can do. Repairs, unexpected repairs that'll just show up out of the middle of nowhere. Your septic tank fails. Plumbing is leaking all over the place. There's a water main leak that has to be done. What has to be figured out. That's a huge expense. Seller's got to pay for it. Seller's like, I don't want to pay for it. Well, somebody's got to pay for it. Somebody's got to figure it out. So all of these things are challenges that are going to pop up, and that you just have to figure it out. And look, at when you're new, you're probably not going to have the right answer. A lot of times the right answer comes in the end of by some creativity, some things that that only experience can do. So that's why you have a mentor. You stay calm. You say, hey, look, that's a hiccup. Yeah, let me figure out. Let me get back to you. Let me think about this for 10 minutes. Let me get back to you on the best course of action. Then you frantically call up your mentor. You're like, oh my God, this is happening. I don't know what to do. So you call them up, and then they're going to say, okay, look, these are your options. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Sometimes just talking about it out loud, you'll figure it out yourself. And you go, okay, I think that we can do this or this or whatever, whatever the case may be. So definitely, it says, how do we stay calm? Definitely breathing. Like breathing techniques. If you got your iPhone or whatever, you get that breathe app, like highly recommend using that thing. Just calm down. I have a real high blood pressure situation. I got an Irish temper. I'm all the way up here 99% of the time. I'm not even angry, and look how loud I am. You know what I mean? Like when I get crazy, like it's a lot. Sometimes I just gotta sit down in a dark corner and just, breathe it in, let it go. Carolina says that doesn't FHA mortgage insurance cost that ends up increasing the monthly payment for the buyer. And you are absolutely correct. But when the cash out of pocket is reduced sometimes by a lower amount, a lot of times they don't really care about the long-term cost of a loan. You'll see a lot, you'll get, look, if everybody was concerned about the long-term cost of a loan, they'd probably be going with a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, because you'd save probably $400,000 a year or $400,000 over the life of the loan. But nobody ever thinks about that stuff. So they're just worried about making sure that the monthly payment is lower. And if you're coming out of pocket 20 grand, but now you have, now you switched, or maybe you're coming out of the pocket 100 grand with a conventional $500,000 loan. Then what would that be? That'd be 200,000? No, $20,000. $20,000 is a conventional $500,000 loan. Then you switch it to a 3.5% down payment FHA financing. Yeah, you're probably going to pay like $50, $60, $70, $80 a month in insurance premiums, but you're also going down from $20,000 to like $7,000 out of pocket. So most people just find that to be way more attractive, not having to come up with an extra, 12 grand or something like that. I'll let you know right now that I am a super calculator person. I do not do math in my head. As you could tell, all of my numbers were probably absolutely wrong. And they're for illustrative purposes only. Please do not ever hold me to my financial calculations that I say out loud, unless you hear this noise. Then I'm doing the math, and then, it's probably more accurate. But yeah, so when you run into problems, rely on, someone with a little bit more experience. When I was new and I was doing pricing, I would get real panicked that I wasn't doing the pricing right. So I'd ask somebody else who's been in the business a while to do do an evaluation on a house. Please evaluate this house for me. And then I would compare them. I would compare them, what they got to what I got. And I would say, okay, if it was really different, I'd be like, well, how did you get that number? Where did you come up with this? Can you show me what you did? And they're like, oh yeah, of course, look at this, whatever, they compare it. Otherwise, they would be really close and it'd be within a couple $1,000s. I'd be like, yeah, cool. I pretty much nailed it. Like I'm happy with my number. So that's what you need a mentor for. That's what you want to rely on, somebody who's, going to be there to help you out. And look, you don't necessarily need to have somebody who's like, answering every single thing or whatever. Sometimes you just need somebody to answer the odd question here and there. You absolutely can, even after you're done with the classes, you absolutely can lean on me for that. You can send me a text anytime during your career and say, hey, Bryan, I was in your class. I need help with this problem, whatever. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I may not have the answer for you, but I'm available. Stay active. There are 3 ways to create business. Sorry, I've been talking a lot today. So your 3 ways that you can create business. You can wait for it. This is what waiting for it looks like. How many transactions do you think I'm going to do a year by waiting for it? How many?
0.
Well, let me do it again for you.
0.
You might do 1. Your mom will probably eventually need to buy or sell her house. That's probably it though. You're going to get 1 family member who is gonna, maybe throw you a bone because maybe you happened to post on Facebook that day that you're, at the office or something like that. You can buy it. Buying it is, of course, not leading with revenue. Buying it is using your Facebook advertisements, Facebook ads, paying Zillow for your own data, for your peers' data, all that stuff. That's very expensive. You can generate leads that way, absolutely, but it's expensive, and you shouldn't do that until you actually have money. Now, look, if you're sitting in your house and you're like, look, I've got $300,000 in the bank and I'm just waiting to burn it on something. Like, you can be a millionaire real estate agent probably by November of next year, because you can buy all the ads and you can buy all the business that you want. And that's great. And congratulations. And please let me know what team you want to be on, because I will join your team if you got that much money to spend. But otherwise, the best way to do it is to go out and get it yourself, which of course is what I've been talking about, your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence. This is every person who every person. Look at your phone right now. Every single one of you has got a phone app. Right? So in your contacts, I think that there's probably, I don't know, it doesn't tell, I thought it would tell me how many, but every one of these contacts is your sphere of influence. Every one of these people are the people who know you and trust you. They want to help you do business. So you go out there and you go get it by telling these people, hey, I know it's been a while, but since it's been a while, this is the perfect reason that I want to reach out and tell you that I'm in real estate now. And yes, you can represent your spouse to buy and sell. You can represent yourself, and you can make money by representing yourself. You can earn the commission by representing yourself as the buyer. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Bryan,
Yep.
how many chapters are we going to go through today?
We are going to go through chapters 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, great. Thank you.
So yes, Simone said that when we go to socials, give out cards. Absolutely. Like when you go to the grocery store, give out your card. When you sign your name on the check at the restaurant, leave a card in there. If you're eating locally, I do it every single time I go out. I give a card to the server, say, thanks for your awesome service. If I can repay the favor, here's my card. Why wouldn't you? You lead generated one time. That's one. That's all you did. It cost you nothing. I mean, maybe the 0.2 cents that it cost you to print up the business card or something like that. But everywhere you go, when you run into somebody, I sit there and I'll listen to people. I eavesdrop like a person. I will just listen. And if I hear one person talk about house, escrow, yard, dogs, anything that I could be like, oh, hey, did you need a real estate agent? You have a baby? Do you need a bigger house? No, your kid. Oh, you just talking about your kids graduating high school, so you need a downsize? I can help you with that. I'll go after it. And it doesn't cost me anything. I can door knock my neighborhood. There's tons of tools out there that allow you to do things as easy as send a postcard. And you don't even have to have an address. You can just, on these postcard things, it costs 59 cents to send a postcard. That includes shipping, printing, and postage. So all you have to do is draw a little circle in a neighborhood that you want to hit. And then you design a little postcard, 50 cents, whatever. I think maybe I guess postcards are a little bit more of the paid for it advertising. But you can have your lenders help print up a flyer about a house in your neighborhood. And then you just take that flyer, you print up like 100 of them, and you roll it up, and then you walk up to a door, you stick it in the doorknob, and you knock, and you run away. It's like ding dong ditch that makes you money. It's tons of ways to make money out there. You just got to go and find it. Anyways, don't spend a ton of money on advertising and stuff like that when you're new. It's just not worth it. Delegate tasks, just like I said. Oh, so right here, title escrow, and NHD, including lenders. They'll have them print up some flyers for a house in the neighborhood, and then go target all the renters in your neighborhood. It's easy to do. The title company has an app that you can download, and then you can draw a little square around the neighborhood that you want, and it will tell you which person in those houses are owner occupied. When you know which person's owner occupied, which house is owner occupied, you know the ones that are not owner occupied. Those are the renters. So you can go and drop off that flyer. Hey, look, there's a new listing in the neighborhood. Do you want to stay here in this neighborhood? Do you love it here? That's awesome. Here's this flyer, and my lender will get you pre-qualified to buy the house so you can live in this neighborhood and you don't have to change anything. It's a great tactic, and it's got me lots of buyers before. Even in COVID, because you don't have to knock, you just knock on the door and, you know, you don't have to like talk to anybody face to face. Daily plan and balance. So your A time is going to be making presentations that can directly lead to a commission. Those are going to be your listing presentations. Those are going to be your buyer consultations. Those are two different things that, you know, those are two things that you do that are actively contributing to your money, your financial situation. You are looking at doing, you know, listing presentations, signing contracts, getting a house on the market, buyer consultations. That means they usually have their pre-approval and they're ready to start looking at houses. B time is prospecting in preparation for A time preparation. So you have your the things that you need to do, like doing a home valuation. That's B time because you're prepping for the A. That you're prepping for your listing presentation. Looking at the MLS and finding homes for a buyer who's pre-qualified. That's B time stuff that you got to do. So, and then C time is learning inventory and doing other things that support A, B, and C. So, you know, it's a real process here. So if A time can be doubled by reducing other activities, income should also double. Same thing. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. Every single time without fail. So additional prep that you can do is learning your inventory. What does that mean? That just means looking at the MLS. Look to see what just got listed in the last 24 hours. Every MLS has a little feature where you can look to see what was listed in the last 24 hours. And then you can say, like, hey, how many 3-bedroom houses went on the market? How many 4 bedrooms? Where's the hottest market at right now? Going through training to understand office procedure. Usually those are held locally in your market centers. Being computer literate definitely helps you out. You're here, so you have enough skills to run your real estate business, because I think Zoom is probably the most complicated part of the whole entire process. I assure you. Basic tax knowledge, you know, you do have to, you're responsible for your own taxes. So when you receive your 70% of your income or your commission check, you do have to set aside some for taxes, because you are an independent contractor, which means that you are responsible for all that stuff on your own. Every person's going to be different. I will not give you any tax advice because I am not a tax professional. Please ask a tax professional for help on how you think that you should be doing your taxes. Every person's going to be different depending on your dependents and your situation. If you have another job, if you don't have another job, if you have alimony, child support, or, you know, anything else that you're, any kind of else things that you're doing, rely on a tax professional. They're CPAs usually work pretty not, I wouldn't say cheap, but they're fairly inexpensive just for advice. They're definitely worth it in the long run because they will keep your butt out of trouble.
Bryan, quick question, please.
Yep.
Do you ever only work with pre-qualified people? I mean, is this a question that you typically ask a buyer?
Absolutely.
You just, you know, you kind of have to be pre-qualified for you to even take the time, or
Sure.
is that too snobby, or
Nope.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, would you, if you were working at any other job and someone walked in and they weren't ready to do business with you, would you entertain them? Like,
No, absolutely not. I just want to know kind of what the norm.
We're not
Mhm.
Walmart. We don't take people around and let them window shop. Like we have families and time, and it costs gas money, and you know what I mean? So it is absolutely imperative that you make sure that all the people that you're working with are qualified. Typically, if someone walks in and if somebody calls me, is like, hey, I really want to see this house right now. Meet me at the, I really want to see this house. I want you to be my agent. I'll be like, all right, look, I'm going to go show them that house, because I'm going to go there and, you know, I'm going to take certain precautions, because obviously just meeting some random person at some random house that you don't have any knowledge of, you know, who knows if they're going to rob you or whatever. So you try not to do that kind of stuff. You want to ask some questions and find out what their intentions are. And you usually can feel the creepers out pretty quickly. And then, of course, you just talking on safety real quick, you want to make sure that you're going to be letting people know where you're going. Don't go alone, that sort of thing. There's a lot of weird people out there like do a lot of weird things with real estate agents because we come alone. We're very excited to have a commission, and we're usually pretty eager to please. I'm a big guy. I usually don't have to worry that much about it. But I tell you what, I still don't let people walk behind me. Not once. I always make sure that if I'm going to show somebody, I open the door for them and like, here you go ahead. And then I'll be right behind you. I'll drive. They don't know if they don't know me. I'll drive by a couple times, make sure there's not some other weird car lurking by nearby, take precautions. But anyways, so if I've sufficiently deemed the situation to be safe, I will meet them and I will go show them a house. And while I'm there, I'll talk to them about being pre-qualified and all that stuff. And if they don't plan on getting pre-qualified, or they're saying, oh, I want to find the house before I get pre-qualified, and like, okay, that's great. Like, you can call me once you've been pre-qualified or you found the house on Zillow that you want to get pre-qualified for. Like, but I'm not going to show you any more houses, and I will definitely walk away. If you're a new agent, maybe you want to take the chance and, work with them a little bit longer to try and earn their business or whatever. But right now, if they're not pre-qualified and they're out looking for a house, then it's just bad business because they're never going to be qualified and fast enough to get the house that they actually want. They need to be pre-qualified weeks before they're actually ready to purchase. I'm going through the same thing right now with a friend of mine in Riverside who I've known since we were like 15 years old. And he's just like, hey, me and my wife want to buy. I said, okay, good. I was like, well, hopefully you haven't already picked out your house. And they're like, no, we haven't. I said, okay, that's good, because most people pick out their house and then they go get pre-qualified. And, houses are off the market in 3 days now. So there's just no chance of being able to get, unless you have everything ready right now and you can go get pre-qualified within the next hour. That's really the only way that works.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, totally be a real estate snob and only work with people who are actually qualified to do business with you. It makes things a lot easier. So here's some equipment that you're going to need for sure. Your smartphone, it's going to have your emails on it. I could not live without my iPhone. And I was a super big Android person before I got into real estate. And frankly, the business turned me into an Apple lover because the systems work so hand in hand, seamless. Man, it is real nice. But Google's gotten a lot better with a lot of the things that I had problems with. So I feel like it really doesn't matter what you use. I like to keep it all in the same family, and I own stock in Apple. So I feel like, just might as well use my own products. Helps me out in the long run. But you're going to be using your GPS a lot, guaranteed. I used Google Maps. It's got a really great feature where you can map out multiple locations. So if I'm going to show someone 4 or 5 houses in a weekend, I can map out each individual house, and then I can share that map with them, and then we can all follow the same route in our own cars. You're going to take pictures. Most of the cameras on these phones nowadays, they are almost as good as most of these, DSLR cameras that are out there. They take fantastic pictures. They're great for beginners, but honestly, once you start getting into and you start closing deals, most photographers cost less than $100 to shoot a house, and the pictures look way better once you get out of the phone market. So I highly recommend you using a photographer, and a lot of them won't even ask to get paid until you close escrow. So it's a little bit more low risk. Business cards. You have to have business cards. Definitely want to do that. Costco business printing will print you like 5,000 business cards for $30. It's a fantastic deal if you're a Costco member. If you're not a Costco member, Vistaprint I think they do like 500 cards for $9 or something. It's very inexpensive. 500 business cards will last you forever. No, I do not drive buyers to look around at houses. I will let them drive me around, and I'll sit in their car and let them drive and tell them where to go, but I do not do that. Also, I just bought a Jeep that has got a 6-inch lift and giant tires. So really getting people in and out of that thing would be unreasonable. So that's another reason why I won't drive people around. A scanner. You definitely need one of those fax machines. I don't even know what that is. You want to have a vehicle that, looks nice. You want to keep it clean. People will judge you. Buy your car. which is why I went with the Jeep. And a website, you get one of those for free with Keller Williams. Other places you may have to buy one. Oh, Will's got a question? Yeah.
What if I show up in a motorcycle?
I've done that before. Yeah, I've been like, I've had people follow me on my motorcycle. I've had people just offer to give me a ride, and they're like, "Well, if you want to just ride with me," I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. We can do that." If you're not very familiar with where you're going and you have to like set GPS every single time, it will definitely be more difficult on a motorcycle. But I have shown home on a motorcycle before, and it's a lot of fun. Like you get a nice jacket that says like "Follow me to your next house" or something like that. You know, some little advertising out there. Everybody's gonna look at it. My bike was like super bright orange with like flames on it. It was pretty sick. I loved it. I had it for like 4 years. Then I decided to trade it for a boat. You need a computer. Whether it's a computer, it's a laptop, a Chromebook, it's a laptop, if it's a tablet, whatever. I feel like I have an iPad, the 2020 iPad, and I feel like it's a fantastic tool. And the only reason I don't set it up here is because I do a lot of video editing and I need a little bit more power than what that's got. But other than that, I feel like it is great. Houseboats do count as real estate. Yes. Yeah. But you know what? The boat brokers will have, man, you know what? I don't know if they do. I don't think they do. Yeah. I feel like I'm sad too. I don't think they do. I'll have to find out for me. I'm going to call a boat broker. I want to find out anyways. Yeah, having a computer helps because you need to be able to read PDFs, open PDFs, fill out forms on websites. Almost everything is web-based now. So I feel like for the most part, I can do almost everything from my phone. I can get on the MLS. I can get on the MLS from my phone. I can use my zip forms, which is where all of my forms are housed. So that's available. Google Drive. I feel like the Google Docs, Google Spreadsheet, Google Slides, or whatever it's called, is a fantastic tool that's for free, available, unlimited use, whatever. It's really great. Does Keller Williams take care of your marketing and social media? No, you have to do your own marketing. You do have to kind of be not, you don't need to be an expert marketer by any means, but you do definitely need to know kind of how to use Facebook and that sort of thing so that you can, get your name out there and do that sort of thing. I feel like a lot of the stuff that you can learn along the way when you get to the point where you really need to do advertising will come with time. There you go. Isaac's a social media manager. He can help you out. Someone asked about rental properties and typical commission structure. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit, but not right at this moment. Because there's a lot of variables that go into that question. And yeah. We only have like 20 more minutes, and I think we're still we're not even through the first one yet. So the MLS, this is the multiple listing service. The MLS is where we put all the houses. It's what Zillow gets all of its information from. So when Zillow's like, oh, look at all the data we're trying to sell you, like that's already the stuff that you put out there as a real estate agent. So it is still the number one tool for house hunting out there right now. It's the number one way people still find homes. And I don't care what Zillow says. Like they do not cover as much of the country as the MLS does. The MLS, with one entry in the MLS, it will syndicate out to all of the real estate websites. So you don't have to worry about how do I get my house on Zillow so that it's found by buyers, whatever. The MLS takes care of all that with their data share programs that you don't have to pay anything additional for. You put it in the MLS and it goes out to everywhere. It goes to Trulia, it goes to Redfin, it goes everywhere. Oh, look at that. They put in a slide for questions. That's fun. You pay for your MLS access. You pay for it quarterly. It's about $99 every 3 months. So every 3 months you pay for that. It's about $400 a year, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Does anybody have any questions that we did not already cover? No. Okay. So Roy, you said you want to sign up. That's fine. You can sign up under any of the things. It doesn't really matter. I feel like there's only a couple of trainers. As long as it's a Monday, Wednesday class that you're signing up for, it should be fine. Your materials are instantly delivered as soon as you pay for as soon as you're enrolled. You'll get your portal and you'll have all the materials that you need. If you're waiting for them to ship you the physical books, you can follow along on the ebooks until your physical books arrive. You do not need the physical books in order to follow along. If you sign up under the Victorville one, there's a Victor Valley thing, wherever that will guarantee that you're in my class with Mission Hills, Burbank, Studio City, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Mission Viejo. No, there's a couple of them. So I do all those classes. And if you don't get the right instructor, if you get an instructor that's different and if you want my class, which I thank you for, you just let me know, we'll switch it out on the back end. Marina Del Rey. I don't know if they actually have. I think it should be fine. I think I probably covered that. But you can just ask. You can just ask them for my class. It's fine. They always love to hear that people want to be in my class. Mission Valley, yeah. Mission Valley, yep, I do cover that one. Okay, what page? For these online classes, you need to sign up for the in-person, which is the $3.99 classes. That's what gets you in here. Okay, I think Selena asked basically the same questions about the training location, determine what instructor you get. Again, you just enroll for whatever one you're like the Market Center or whatever the area that you're most comfortable with. And if you don't get the right instructor, just let them know and they'll change you. What's the exact step to getting the license? Kelly, you mean like actually like the application process? Yeah, when you finish all three of the courses and you finish all three of the exams, you're going to fill out an application. You're going to submit your application. There's about a 7 to 8 week period for them to process your application, during which you'll study for the exam using the study materials. Then you will, once they process your application, you'll get an email that tells you what day you're going to take your test, and then you take your test, and that's it. You become a real estate agent. All right. So again, if you guys need any more information or whatever, you can leave your emails in the chat privately to me or to whoever. Doesn't really matter. I will get that. I save the chat after each class, so that way I don't forget, because I used to forget and I'd lose everybody's email address. This is a big thing. So I don't do that anymore. But we're also going to play the brain game real quick, which is a super fun little thing. So you can unmute yourself. If you want to yell out the answer, you can get your fingers ready to type in the answers in the chat. I think you can use, is it Shift A?
Spacebar.
Huh?
Spacebar.
Oh no.
I
It's
know.
a space bar. I know, I almost gave all the answers away. All right. Let me ask you this question. You can yell out your answers. Flexibility, high earning potential, and freedom. Oh, it's like Jeopardy. I'm going to give you the answer. You're going to ask the question.
Real estate.
There you go. What is the benefit of a real estate career? The compensation an agent get at the end of a transaction.
Commission.
Commission.
Correct. The area of specialization that most new licensees concentrate on.
Residential.
Listing
Residential.
agency.
Residential.
Man,
That's
how
right.
fast is that?
Residential. Single family home is also a acceptable answer. Jason. Representing both the buyer and
Dual
seller.
agency.
Agency.
Hey, I was finally first. I finally got one.
Rico Suave drilled it into our heads.
That's right.
Go Suave.
Suave.
Dual agency. Written contract between the brokerage and the agent.
Escrow? No, it's not
No,
escrow.
between the brokerage and the agent.
Independent contractor?
That's right. Independent contractor
What?
agreement.
Agreement.
Last one here. Listing service where agents and brokers advertise.
MLS.
MLS.
That is correct. All right.
Zillow.
Let us get
Zillow.
here. Zillow. Get out of here. Whoever just answered Zillow, you're out forever. Unforgivable.
Cut.
All right. Let me see. How long is this one? This one's a pretty short one, so we should be able to get out of here hopefully in the next 15 minutes. Sorry, I talk a lot. When I get passionate about it, I just keep talking and talking and talking. If you ever met me in person, you'd understand. So let's talk about ethics, fair housing, trust funds, and other legal issues, which we really probably shouldn't gloss over on our first day, but we will cover all of this stuff in more depth as we go. So ethics, it's a should. This is what you should do. And ethics is a study of moral conduct, and it's a moral standard for living. And ethics precedes the law. The golden rule: do not, or do unto others as you wish to be done unto you. There is no right way to do a wrong thing, Mr. Harold Kushner. So the law is a must. So where ethics is a should, you should do these things. The law is the must. This is the bare minimum that you have to follow as the law. So it forms the foundation for the standard of care. All licensees are obligated to follow the law. You're obligated to follow the law. It's not optional. It's not like it'd be unethical for you to break the law. It's illegal. Yes, a realtor can get their license revoked. The law sets a minimum standard for what society regards as acceptable behavior, and an illegal act is a violation of the law, and the state sets penalties, whether it's fines, loss or restriction of your license, and or jail time. So there are things in the law that you can, go to jail for. You can lose your license. You can be penalized very heavily. One of those things is commingling. We'll talk about that when we talk about trust funds here. But if you accept money on behalf of a client and you use that money for your own personal use, that's commingling, and it's highly illegal. So don't do that ever. At Keller Williams, we don't actually handle any money. We don't take money on behalf of clients because we don't want to be in any sort of trouble with any of that stuff. We let escrow handle all of that. They are set up both financially and liability wise to handle the money and not be in any sort of commingling fashion. Don't risk your license being revoked. Be ethical and law abiding. When you become a real estate agent, you are exactly that. You are a real estate agent. You are not a realtor. A realtor is a specific title that you have to pay to use. You have to join the National Association of Realtors. In order for you to become a realtor, you have to take an ethics course. We are held to a higher standard than any other real estate agent. Just having your license qualifies you as a real estate agent. You can say, I am a real estate agent, but you cannot say that you're a realtor until you've joined the association and you've passed the ethics class and you've done all this stuff. And this is the Realtor Pledge. From 1958, it's been unchanged, I think, until now, or since then. It says, I pledge myself.
Brian, I think your mic cut out.
You're on mute.
Brian, we can't hear you.
All right, Brian's out, everyone.
His
Let's
laugh
head out.
died.
Okay, good night, guys.
Hey guys,
Peace.
if he doesn't show up in 15 minutes, we're free to go, right?
Yeah, I agreed. Oh, God. I need
Oh my gosh.
back?
All right, smoke
All right.
break.
I already said, what are you talking about?
Woo! He's back.
Yeah, I was already here. You can't leave just because you can't hear me. That's not the same thing. Anyways, yeah, my little battery pack died on my microphone, so I had to plug it into a battery pack. Anyways, you can read that here. I don't need to go through that. Fair housing and anti-discrimination, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This was an act that was intended to provide equal treatment for former slaves. All citizens of the United States shall have the same rights in every state or territory as is enjoyed by white citizens thereof to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property. For the most part, the Act of 1866 was ignored up until the 60s when the Civil Rights Movement took place. And the Civil Rights Act of 1968, it prohibited any discrimination in housing based on national origin, race, religion, and color. Sexual orientation was added in 74, and this prohibits discrimination by brokers against clients and customers. What does it say? Sorry, this slide's a little bit new. I'm not really. How do I, as an agent, handle situations that require judgment decision based on fair housing and discrimination? What if my client asks me not to sell their home to a certain minority population? Whew, let me tell you what, that happens often. I've had people who would say, "Hey, I want to, how do we advertise this to Asian people? How do we only Chinese?" And it's like, oh, well, I mean, we can't do that. Like, that's a violation of fair housing. Like, you cannot just advertise to any group of persons. Doesn't matter what race they are. There are people who want to do that, and you have to drop them as clients. Like, there's really no if and or buts about it. There are going to be other shady agents who will probably be happily take their business. And frankly, if I could figure out who those people are, I would report them instantly, because I knew what they were requiring me to do, and I feel like they probably required the next guy to do the same thing. So you will hear, there's just not anything that you can, there's not anything really that you can do other than you have to have a moral code that says, I will not participate in any sort of act that will lead to racial discrimination or any other discrimination based on any of the protected classes, regardless of what it is. There are people who are like, oh, I only want to sell, I want to sell my house to a family. I want little kids to, enjoy my house. That is a fair housing violation. You cannot say that you want somebody to enjoy the house that has kids, because what happens if the people who want to buy the house, they don't want to have kids, or maybe they can't have kids, or, whatever the case may be. Like, you think that it's not just about race and, all the other things. It could be just as something as simple as I want kids, or, I'd like a nice Jewish family to live here. Sorry, we can't say that you can't say who is going to live in your house, period, end of story. You can base their offers based on how much money you're going to put in your pocket. That's totally legal. Like, am I going to put $150,000 in my pocket, or am I going to put $120,000 in my pocket? Yep, we can say, I choose this one over this one because of that. And frankly, that's about it. That and terms of contract. Those are the only things that we can judge a contract by. I don't even like my sellers to be home when the house is shown, because they have an opportunity then to go, oh, I really like this family. I really want this family to be the one that we accept the offer from. It's like, well, we can't make that decision on which family or which person it is. You have to make your decision purely based on the contract. So, and you have to be willing to walk away, because people will put you in a position where you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Steering, steering is a big thing. We'll definitely cover that. I know we're kind of running out of some time here, but bottom line is, don't discriminate, and be willing to stand up for what you believe in and walk away from the paycheck if they want you to do something that would compromise your ethics. It's hard to do it in the beginning. It's hard to do that when you're a new agent or whatever. But I tell you what, right now, that you will feel way better knowing that you did something right than you will for, losing out on a couple $1,000s. Someone asked, you have to disclose details of the potential buyer to the seller outside of them being qualified, the money offer, and contract terms. Yeah, absolutely. You do not have to disclose anything there. You can't, honestly, you can't disclose anything about the buyer. When I have buyers, I say, hey, you want to write a letter? You want to describe yourself. Like, I have to read the letter before they send it, because it's like, oh, you put in here that, you have 3 kids. You can't put in here that you have 3 kids. You can say that you have children, but you cannot say how many you have, because they could go, oh, well, we don't want someone with 3 kids in here, and they can discriminate against you for it. So you got to really make sure that it's very generic, but you get your point across. But it can be difficult to navigate those waters. So steering, so this is what we were just talking about. That's directing people of a different race or religion away from or toward a particular area. You can't make assumptions about people where they want to live. If your client may say they are Jewish and they say, hey, I'd like to live near what, synagogue, is that what the Jewish, I think it's right, it's the Jewish synagogue. Anyways, they say they want to live in the temple. Okay, yeah, the Jewish temple. So they want to live in that area. If they ask you to say, hey, I want you to look in this area, that's fine, but you can't say, oh, well, here, there's a temple in this area, maybe you want to look over in this area. That's steering. If they don't offer, if they're not saying, hey, this is what I desire, you can't tell them, oh, you should live over here because there's a temple there, there's a Jewish temple over here. That maybe they do want to live near to a temple, but you can't offer it to them. You have to let them tell you what they want. Block busting is something I don't really know if this is a thing anymore. I guess, I don't know. It says inducing panic by inducing panic selling by representing that prices will drop or crime will increase because of the possible entrance of a minority group members to the area. If these people move in, house prices are going to fall. That would induce panic selling, and that's called block busting, and that is highly illegal. So you cannot tell people that they're, that's the thing that could happen. Commissioners' rules and regulations. Article 10 of the Real Estate Commissioners' Rules and Regulations lists unacceptable and discriminatory practices by a licensee. I believe you can look these up right now on the DRE's website. You can look up Article 10 commercial, or you can just look up Real Estate Article 10, and you'll see all of the list of prohibited things. Regulation 2780 indicates that any discriminatory conduct by real estate licensees is basis for disciplinary action by the commissioner. So those are the 2 regulations and rules that the commissioner sets, and then the RESPA, which is what is RESPA? Come on, I got like 30 of you guys who knows what RESPA is.
Real Estate Sellers Protection Act.
Close. No? Will, come on. You don't know what RESPA is?
Settlement.
The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. I think.
Procedures Act.
Did you
There
get
you
it?
go.
Yeah, Real
I
Estate
said it,
Settlement
but it was muted.
Procedures Act. What this does is this protects people from. It protects kickbacks from service providers to agents. So, oh, sorry about that. That's good. That's probably why you've been so calm this time. Can't talk that much. Service providers will go like, oh, hey, you give me all your business and I'll pay you money, or I'll, do something special for you or whatever. So RESPA, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, prohibits service providers from giving kickbacks to agents, so that, it kind of keeps the playing field fair and open. Agents will feel obligated to steer clients to them because of gifts, and agents should protect the interest of the best interest of your clients. When you look at service providers and you want to say, hey, I'm going to recommend a service provider because they are going to cost you the least amount of money, they're going to save you money in the long run, they're going to, have the lowest interest rates, or they're going to have the most competitive, whatever the case may be. You want to make your referrals based on what's in the client's best interest, not because they're going to try and pay you off in some way. Licensees must be colorblind in their relationship with owners as well as prospective buyers and tenants, Anything less than color blindness is a violation of the law as well as just bad business. You don't want to offend anybody. This is a business of relationships. This is a business of future relationships. You cultivate relationships now so that you can do business with them. You hopefully provide the best service that you absolutely can. Yes, Simone, that's exactly what we're talking about. And then, they're going to refer their friends and family to you, because once you've started doing business with people, you're heavily, I'd say 87% of my business comes from referral business from my past clients. Only like 12% of my actual business over year comes from new people that I've never talked to in my life. They came from prospecting on Facebook. They came from door knocking. They came from a Facebook ad. They came from some other form. All of my business comes from my friends, my family, my spheres, my past clients. So don't make anybody uncomfortable by being, racist and, losing out on business over race and, discriminatory acts. It's just not good. It's not good business. So listing laws in a brokerage. We're almost done here, folks. I feel like we got like maybe 4 more slides. So listing laws in a brokerage, and according to the California real estate law, the only person authorized to represent the principal is the licensed broker. So here's what we're talking about. If my friend comes to me and says, Brian, I'd really like to list my house with you, I'd say, okay, cool. Here's a listing agreement that you're going to sign, and we're going to sign it. It says it's going to be from this date to this date, and it's going to be for this much and this much. The actual agreement says that my friend is listing their house with my broker, Keller Williams. Well, my broker is John. So they're actually listing their house with my broker, John. I am representing John in the transaction. That's what it means to be. That's what it means to be a principal. I am representing my broker. My broker is representing the client. So you are going to be the person who is going to sign all of the documents as the broker, because you are representing the broker. So you're going to sign all the documents. Your name is going to be on all the documents. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, your broker is the person who's representing your client. So it says if a salesperson or agent leaves the brokerage and starts working with another firm, according to the listing ownership laws, it says that the original broker owns the listing and it remains with that brokerage. So if my friend were to list with me and then I were to say, I don't know, get a brain hemorrhage and jump ship and go to Century 21, then my friend would have to stay with Keller Williams and I would go without it. Now, I don't believe for even 1 second that my brokerage would keep my listing, because Keller Williams is all about the agents owning their own data, the agents owning their own business, the agents being, the first and foremost reason that they're here. So I honestly believe that my brokerage would allow me to take my listing with me. That is definitely not true with a lot of different brokerages, but I'd be willing to bet my next commission check on it that they would let me have my listing, and if I was to leave. Now, if I were to leave by breaking the law or doing something unethical or something like that, they probably wouldn't do it. They would probably convince the seller to stay with them. But if I was just like, hey, I'm just not really happy here, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna take my listing, they would most likely let me have it. I believe that. Escrow, so commission laws and rules. One of the real estate laws primary. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. One of the real estate law's primary rules applies to commissions only being payable to the brokers. So when you get that commission check, you don't get it. It doesn't come to you. The escrow company, when they're doing all their paperwork or whatever, they make out the check to Keller Williams, and then Keller Williams receives the check, and then they deposit the check into their account, and then they cut me a check for the 70% that they owe me. And then from Keller Williams, I get paid my 70%. Agents can only receive your commissions from brokers. So that means your seller cannot say, hey, I'm going to pay you cash. Can't do it. It's illegal. If you get caught accepting cash from a seller or from a buyer or from anybody for that matter in the duty of being a real estate agent, you can have your license revoked, suspended. You could be banned from selling real estate. It's highly unethical and it's illegal. So don't do it. Don't take cash. It's not worth it. At the close of a transaction, the seller pays a commission to the listing broker, and the listing broker shares part of the commission with the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So, like I said earlier at the beginning, your commission is determined by the seller at the time of listing. So, me and my friend who wants to list his house, he says, "Hey, I want to sell my house." I say, "Okay, I'm going to charge you 5% commission. 5% commission is going to be split between me and the buyer's agent. So I'm going to take 2.5%, and the other agent is going to get 2.5% for their services. The seller pays the whole fee, the whole 5%. The escrow company divides that 5% up into the two parts, to the two different brokers, and then each broker gets their money. Each broker takes their cut and gives their agent their money. So commission disbursement, you can see in the MLS, it tells you how much commission you're going to get paid. Personally, okay. Hold on a second. I got to adjust my soapbox real quick so I can stand on it for 2 minutes. So when we talk about commission, there are a lot of laws that say that commission is not set. It's a completely negotiable 100% between the listing agent, the listing broker, and the seller. We also have an ethical duty to show buyers houses regardless of compensation. So in the MLS, it states how much the seller is offering commission-wise to the agent. So down here in this example, you can see that the CSO, the commissions, it says the CSO is commissioned to the selling office. The selling agent is the buyer's agent. The seller's agent is the listing agent. Seller, selling, two different things. You get really confused. Stick with buyer and seller. It's a listing agent, buyer's agent. Otherwise, it gets really confusing. But the selling agent, who is the buyer's agent, they are going to get a commission on this example here of 3%. Now, what if that buyer's agent was only going to get 1%? What if the seller said, I only want to pay 2% total commission, 1% to you and 1% to the other guy. This is almost $1 million listing. I'm not going to pay more than $18,000 in commission. I had to do fast math in my head, and that was fast. Let me tell you what. They don't want to pay more than like $19,000 in commission, so they're only going to offer 2%. Well, personally, I feel like at the time my buyer's looking at this house, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go show him this house. And I go, oh crap, they're only offering 1%. Oh, I don't want him to buy that. I don't want to go through all this work for 1%. I've just committed an ethics violation. I have just said that my financial gain is more important than the duty than the needs of my client. And that's an ethics violation. Clear and simple. There's no two ways around it. You cannot not show a house because the commission's too low. Where I get soapboxy is where I feel like, personally, I don't feel like they should put the commission amount in the MLS. I think there should be a separate form. I don't feel like, because the commission in the listing agreement, it says how much the total commission is and how much the broker is getting paid. I think that there should be a one-page form that's signed at the listing agreement that says the buyer's compensation is going to be X amount of dollars, or whatever, 1% or 2% or 3% or whatever it is, and the MLS should not reference how much money is going to be paid, because right now agents all over America are violating their ethics by not showing houses that have a low commission percentage. It's just facts that if you list a house for 3% commission, you will get twice as many showings as if you list the house for 1.5% buyer's commission. Why? Because people are unethical. I don't know what to, there's no other way around it. Like, these people aren't showing your house because you didn't offer enough commission, which is an ethics violation to not show a house if there's no commission. So personally, I feel like that one day I'm going to hopefully be able to make that change in our industry. And I will say right now that I'm probably one of the only people that believe that, but I think that there should be no commission listed in MLS. The houses should be shown on merit and merit alone. Customer needs, that's it. And then as soon as you open up escrow, then you are sent the documentation that shows how much you're going to get paid. And that document should not be dated any later than the actual listing agreement to keep everybody honest. That's my soapbox. Let me get back down. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to go on. So here's a commission distribution. We've kind of talked a little bit about this. You have a sale price of $500,000. The commission is $15,000 on your percentage. So sale price $500,000. If the commission was 6% total, 3% goes to listing, 3% goes to the buyer. So the commission is paid $30,000 by the seller, and then each side is broken up by $15,000. The listing agent is going to get $10,500. Oh yeah, the listing agent's going to get $10,500, and the broker is going to keep $4,500. And it's the same for the buyer, but you can't see it because this thing pops up. Actually, that's weird. It says listing agent under both, but one says listing broker, one says buyer broker. So obviously that's supposed to be the other. So this is typically how your commission is split up in a normal sale. And that is pretty much it. So, somebody asked if there's a waiting period. Usually the day after. So an escrow is going to close. There's two different types of closing for each escrow. The first escrow, first closing is a financial closing. That's when the loan funds and the lender has sent the money to escrow. That's financial closing. And then for LA County people, the deed will set to record in the county the next day. And so your legal closing will happen the following day. In San Bernardino County, and I think in Riverside County, they record special, which means that your deed will record the same day. So you have both types of closing happen on the same day. Typically, the next day after the deed records, whatever that is, whether it's the next day or the same day, escrow will do their disbursements for paying the brokers. If it's not a local escrow, maybe they have to mail the check, so it might take another couple of days. Your broker has to get it. And then basically there's a review period where your broker is going to look at your file and make sure that you have done all of your paperwork properly, because your broker's on the hook for any documents that you missed, and they will be liable if you do not have all of the proper documents signed. And you will cover all of the documents that are necessary for closing an escrow at a later time. But once all of your documents are properly in order, then you receive your check. So it definitely is a good idea to learn which documents go for each transaction. There's a very simple checklist that you usually can find and get from your market center that will guide you in that. It's just called a closing checklist, a residential closing checklist. And then if you're staying on top of all your paperwork throughout your transaction, there's no last minute scramble to have 50 documents signed and then so that you can get your check. But there are agents out there who will wait until the very last second, and I've gotten emails weeks after I've closed and I've cashed my check and I already spent my money. And agents are like, "Oh, can I get like 3 signatures on this? I haven't gotten my check yet, so I really need to get these." I'm just like, man, like, what have you been doing for 3 weeks? Like, crazy. Anyways, so if you are already enrolled, make sure that you are reviewing your textbook material. Again, this is a high overview coverage. If you're newly going to be enrolled, again, read through chapter 1 and 2. We covered all of chapter 1 and 2 tonight. Again, we covered it at a high level. We did not go into super detail of everything. So you will have to read all of that material on your own. The online quizzes for chapter 1 and 2, open book, open note. Use that to your advantage. The online quizzes will reflect the textbook material. So some of the stuff we talked about will definitely be covered, but some of it may not. Some of the questions they ask, you'll be like, "Oh, Bryan didn't cover any of that." Yeah, that's because I didn't cover the whole entire textbook, chapter 1 and 2. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's play the brain game real quick and get you guys out of here since it is 9:15. Also, one last chance. If you, you do not have to there's no due dates on anything. When you sign up for your classes, you have 1 year to complete all three of your courses. So if you don't finish them within these 3 months, you still have time. You can just go back and do it on your own, and it's no big deal. You do not need to have the quizzes done by Wednesday. It's totally fine if you don't. A lot of people will wait until the off week, the fourth week in the month, and they'll just like power through all 15 chapters in the week. That's okay too. Whatever makes you more comfortable. If you want to do it and keep along, that's awesome too. You will definitely, be good. Yeah, no test due at all. So you just do it whenever you want. If you want to be notified by email or text message or whatever, if you have not signed up yet, you can again privately send your information to me so that I have it. I will include you on all the emails and the text that I send out so that you have notification when we are doing classes. Otherwise, if you already got all that stuff from me this morning, today, then you are good to go. All right. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Golden rule.
That is the golden rule. That was only one person answered that. What is a must?
The law.
Law. Breaking the law. Breaking the law. All right. This act was intended to provide equal treatment for former slaves.
The Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Civil Rights Act.
1868.
Civil Rights Act of 1866. This act prohibited discrimination on housing based on national origin, race, religion, and color.
Civil Rights Act of 1968.
There you go. 68 is the correct answer. Directing people of different races away from or toward a particular area.
Steering.
Steering is correct. The only person authorized to represent the principal per California real estate law.
The broker.
Me.
No, Will. It's the broker. Jeez. Licensed broker? Come on, man. All right. So that's pretty much it. This is just going to go over for you guys who are real new. This is your first time. I'm going to go through a few more slides. Other than that, I will see you all on Wednesday. If you don't want to hang out, it's totally fine.
Thank
See you guys later. Have a great week. Ask any questions you have. Now is the time.
Thank you.
I gotta get going. Thanks.
No problemo. All right. So again, we're at practice right now. We're going to be doing real estate practice for this month. Next month, we'll cover real estate principles, and the month after, real estate finance course. The pricing options for in-class, that's what this is considered in class. At some point, maybe in the near future, we might actually go back into actual in-class, but they're probably going to keep this offering for quite some time because a lot of people aren't going to feel super comfortable going back into a classroom setting anytime. No problem, Larry. Thank you so much for being here, man. Here's the prices. Most of you guys probably already know this. CARealtyTraining.com. If you guys want to sign up, again, you can sign up under any of the class. If you don't get me as your instructor, you can always request me. I love it when people do that so much. No problem, Simone. Hey, thanks for having fantastic questions, Simone. You were like on it today. I don't want that every single class because that's real stressful. I get real flustered when I don't know right exactly what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, and someone asked if you're from Sacramento, would it make sense to take your class? I have taught people from San Francisco. So yeah, it's totally fine. We all teach the same rules, laws, regulations. It's all the same. You just can go right to Sacramento and take the test right from the real estate headquarters. That's kind of cool. So here's the stuff. If you are interested about payments, and look, if you're like, oh man, I don't even have $144 right now or whatever, like just call the school and try and figure out, like they'll work with you. Like they're really cool about stuff. Cool. Like just try it out. See what they'll do for you. If you absolutely need to have a little bit extra time, maybe your first payment isn't going to be for 2 weeks or something like that. It's totally fine. So call the number, the 888-317-8740. Let them work with you. See what they can do. That's it. Session 2 complete. That was the first class. Next Wednesday, we will cover chapters 3 and 4. I got everybody's emails and phone numbers and all that stuff that you guys have been sending me. So that's fantastic. I'll add you to my list. I will double check to make sure that everybody is enrolled and all that good stuff. If you have any questions, I'm going to email everybody who sent me or a text message or whatever right now. So you all have my information. If you wanted me to have your information, you'll have mine, and then you can ask me any questions you want. Feel free. Yeah. What do you guys have for me right now? Anybody got anything? Go ahead, Eli.
So no class next Monday. It's not till next Wednesday.
No, there's class next Monday. The next class will be Wednesday, so in 2 days. Well,
Oh, it's already Tuesday here. Okay.
oh yeah, for you it's Tuesday, so it would be tomorrow for you. So then there'll be class on Wednesday, and then there's Monday, Wednesday, and then Monday, Wednesday, and then no class on the Monday and Wednesday of the last week.
Sounds good.
So Brian, I think I may have gotten this all messed up because I signed up for the Marina Del Rey Keller Williams, and the next Wednesday class is the finance session class. So I don't think I'm in your section.
I mean, you can ask them, put it for them to put you in my class. Otherwise,
Because otherwise I would be required to then take the finance class on Wednesday, and then like I would be out of order, right?
well, I mean, yeah, you would definitely wouldn't want to do both of them at the same time. That would be confusing.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
So if you want to start with financing first, we'll eventually cover financing in the third month.
No.
Yeah. So whatever you want to do, just tell them whichever class you want to stick with, and then they'll just take you out of the other one.
And Brian, will we get credit for this evening's class as class number one?
Yeah. So all of the classes, these are optional. Like if you can't make a class, it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to text you and say, hey, class tonight. And like, if you don't show up, it's not that big of a deal.
I see. It's the actual taking the courses and taking the exams for the courses.
That's
how we get our credit.
Yeah,
it's not showing up. I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just here to be your sounding board, your question mark, your whatever you need me to be, that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, Robert, did you send me your information? I think you might have. If you send me your information, then it's
I'll send it to you right now, man. Not a problem.
yeah, send me your information.
All right, cool.
If we don't study with Keller, yeah, you can contact Keller Williams. Yeah, Simone, you can contact Keller Williams after you take the track. If you want to study with a different school, it's totally fine that you go wherever, whatever you need to do. We're just the school. We're just the vehicle to get you your license, and then whatever you want to do. So if you want to pick a different vehicle, totally fine. But I'd almost be willing to bet that our most expensive package is cheaper than almost all of the rest of them out there.
All right, man. Is there anything else we would need, or we're good?
Nope, that's it. Just come back on Wednesday. I'll send you an email.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
No problem. Other schools do not use different textbooks. I feel like almost all of the textbooks are this exact same book.
Hey Brian, question. You guys don't go over thoroughly. I'm guessing. I think you went over it. You guys don't go over thoroughly the textbook, or give out handouts. So when we get ready for the final, or we're gonna get ready for the quizzes, we have like worksheets and stuff like that to go over and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, we don't really do that. Usually, what I would say is. There's a lot of different resources you have in your portal to be able to use to your advantage when it comes to that. The quizzes are open book, so you have the book available to you. You have the index that you can really use. You can look at all of the different the PowerPoints. Here, I should probably actually end this. We don't really need to. I don't really need to be there. You can look at the PowerPoints that that are on the portal for you to use. So you have those as reference, which usually include some of the information. But yeah, pretty much since it's open book, there's not really any real need for us to give you a bunch of information to kind of save.
Yeah, I understand. It just makes it easier, like to break down, to understand when the final comes around. Well,
I think what you can do is when you take the quiz, the chapter quiz, I think there are 10 questions each. So the 10 questions or whatever, you can, when you're done taking the thing and it gives you the answers, which ones you missed, which ones you didn't or whatever, you could probably print that screen out, print the questions out so that you have those available to you, print them as a PDF so you can save them.
Right.
And then when you get to the final, then you have all of your old quizzes that you can kind of go back and use as a reference, as a really fast reference. I think that would be something you could probably do.
Yeah, that's, I think, because I was going to school out here in the Coachella Valley. I'm over here. But the school that I was going to, it's an adult school. They would give us the paperwork, and I get it. Every school is different. They would give us the worksheets, but some of those worksheets we fill it out, and some of the questions were in that final, or some of those questions were in the quizzes. So that helped us a lot. Like remember, like I have a bad memory, so it just helps us remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Back and all that. That's what I was asking.
I definitely recommend using the open note thing to your advantage, and printing out the quizzes after you take them. After each one of you take the chapter quiz at the end, print out those 10 questions and use that as basically the guide that you can kind of study over a little bit. And most likely most of those questions are going to be on the finals.
Okay. Yeah. So it is printable then, because I was trying to get the book and it wasn't letting me print it.
The book is not printable. No, you cannot print the book, but you can print the quiz when you're done. I just had another student who she printed out one of the finals, I think. No, she didn't print it. What was it? She printed out something and I was like, yeah, but that doesn't, like, when you answer the questions on the paper, it doesn't tell you whether you got it right or wrong. Like, you need to take it on the test first and then print it out. So I know that they are printable, so you can use them as reference later.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. That way I can use it for when the final comes in. I can use it and study that, or study the quizzes for the final. But yeah. All right. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks, man. Appreciate it. See you Wednesday.
Yep. All right. See you Wednesday. Bye. All right. Is it Nike? Like the shoe, or is it? There's a Nick.
Yes, like the shoe.
Like the shoe. All right, Nike. Okay. So it says you've been comparing schools. How do we differ from Real Estate Express? I honestly have never heard of Real Estate Express before. There's so many different schools out there.
There's tons, and it's very confusing.
So I honestly, I feel like I'm a little bit biased because I love this school, and I feel like the system that they have. When I was going through my license, I was given a book, and they said, okay, study this, and then you're gonna take a test at the end, and it was online, but there was no, like, it was just study the book, and then that was it. And then when I passed the test, if I passed it, I passed it. If I didn't, I had to wait like 5 days or something like that to retake the test. It was just so basic, I guess. And it was just like, there was nothing else to help me do these things or whatever. And everything that I was thinking, like, man, I wish this school would do X. This school does. So for me going through the process, I wish I would have had access to this school versus the one that I went through. Being able to talk with your instructor before and after classes, having access to your instructors, before, during, and after class during the week, when you're taking your quiz and you're like, I don't really understand this question, snap a picture of it and send it to your instructor. I feel like that's kind of invaluable. Most of the time these schools are online only. You don't have access to an actual instructor. You have to go through tech support or whatever it is that they're doing so that you can get a question answered, but they're not really going to answer. They're not going to have a real estate agent who's going to be able to answer you in real estate terms, how a question should be answered versus, sorry, we're tech support. We only reset your password and,
I'm a visual learner, so I'm wondering if I went with the $3.99 program, would it help me to get the textbooks as well so I can kind of follow along and highlight and make notes for myself to make it easier for me? Because I asked you that question about the 284 program too, you know what I'm saying? That program is you not in front of me, but just pre-recorded stuff, right?
Yeah, that's, I think Robert Rico does all the recordings for that. So He just goes through, and that's more of an in-depth. He covers the books, pretty in depth for that.
Do
But
you
again,
cover
that's
as deep as he would?
yeah. I don't cover the books because I mean we only have 3 months to do 3 courses. Like if I were to cover them, so in depth or whatever, we'd need to do this 5 days a week for probably 4 hours a day in order to get through this class in a month. There's a lot of stuff in there. So most of the time it's just private reading. You study, kind of on your own. We go through the higher stuff. We touch on real important stuff. And again, if you're reading ahead, you read, like next week by Wednesday, you read chapters 3 and 4, then you might have some questions about what they mean by, a certain thing or whatever. And then when I go over them, you go, oh, hey, yeah, I had some questions about that. Like, can you explain this depth? Or maybe I already explained it in depth, enough to, answer your question or, that sort of thing.
Would what you go over be more in tune with what's on the state exam? Or does that state exam change? Like they have like 8 different exams that they give you or something?
There are like 500 different exams that they give me. So they change all the time. So here's how I talk about real estate. There's 3 parts to real estate. You get your courses, you do your courses, you take your 3 courses, your three classes that you need, the required education. You get through that, only worry about that. You don't need to worry about anything past your 3 courses. Once you have your 3 certificates that you use your open book rules and policies to allow you to get your 3 courses, then you start studying for the state exam. The state exam test prep is going to prep you for the state exam. That's all it does. It shows you exactly what you need to know. It shows you how you need to know it. It's a fantastic program.
And every company uses the same books.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I think there's only a couple different textbooks out there for real estate, and I feel like I think there's 2 different versions, and because I feel like mine were exactly that, and that was 5 years ago, and I didn't even use this school, so I feel like the books, the covers, everything were identical. So, yeah, and then once you pass your state exam and you've gotten through that, then you can start worrying about what you need to do to actually be a real estate agent and how to, work your day to day. We're going to teach you how to work your day to day. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to provide you with a lot of tips and tricks that you can use now so that you can have a jump start here in this 3rd part. But I always tell people, do not stress over the state test while you're still working on your certificates. Just work on your certificates. And when you're doing your state test, just focus on state testing.
As far as electives are concerned, is finance the better of the electives to take?
They're all the same. I think yeah, we cover all of, because you can't, if we didn't cover like real estate law, and if we didn't cover property management and whatever, I think there's 3 other ones that I always forget. If we didn't cover all of that stuff, then your knowledge for the state test would be severely lacking. So we cover all of the information in all 3 of the courses that we cover. There's probably a little bit more in depth in some of these different things, but 99% of the time we cover everything that you need to know.
Well, then with that being said, then if somebody just took the online course without you, an instructor, and they picked the elective of finance, then they would be missing out on some of the important things that could potentially be on the test? No, it's the same thing.
The exact opposite. I feel like they won't be missing out on anything, because in real estate practice and principles, we cover all 5 of the electives.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So whatever elective you choose, there's a little bit more in depth than some of the things, but it's nothing more than information on a personal level and not on the state level.
Okay.
Because the state level has to be covered. We have to be able to teach everybody what they need to know to pass the state test. You know what I mean? So,
and then in your personal opinion, which elective do you think is a good elective? Like if
finance.
I was finance?
You use finance every single day of your career.
Correct.
There's never not a day where you don't, whether you're listing side or you're the buyer side, you got to know how financing works. And I feel like you should know in depth, unless you're going to get your real estate license and go directly to work for a property management company. You can't even be a property management company because you have to have your broker's license in order to be a property management company. So it really doesn't make any sense to do property management, because you'd still need 3 years of experience to even get to that point in your career.
I worked in property management for 5 years.
Yeah.
Without a real estate license, because just doing apartments in California.
Right.
basically, and those don't require a license. But
When
we
you were
do
an
have
on-site
to,
manager?
yeah.
Yeah, on-site managers don't require a license, so that's something that you can.
But I wanted to get more deeper into it because obviously it's more income, more potential income.
Yeah. When you start doing the actual, were you the owner or?
No,
were
I
you
just work
working-
for a company.
Yeah. So unless you're going to work for yourself and you have a lot of contacts, honestly, like property management can be tough to make a lot of money in
Mhm.
unless you've got a lot of contacts where people really need a lot of, a service. But for the most part, you have to be a broker or you have to be under a broker in order to do your own property management without being an on-site manager
Right.
in California. So yeah, so it just be a little bit more tougher the new agents to kind of get into that realm. So, but if you got the experience, honestly, I feel like you're light years ahead of most people. So,
So the class that I just witnessed today, that's class number 1, basically.
Yep.
So if I choose to move forward with your group, then obviously I'll take class number 2.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll be here for Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make my final decision tomorrow on how I want to go about it.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if the difference of money is important. I don't know how I'll learn with you or without you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been, I'm in my 50s, so it's been so long since I've been in a school atmosphere.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I would have said like 35 at the best.
Really?
Yeah.
You're my new best friend.
Yeah. So that's one of the things you said you're a visual learner. I'm a real like hand stalker. So I feel like we'll be able to, I feel like you'll be able to, well, if you can't stare at me talking, then that would be different, a problem. But yeah, we go through the slideshows, we'll cover some videos, that sort of thing. So hopefully I think it would probably be the best learning experience for you because it's going to be live and interactive. You can stop and ask questions, that sort of thing, instead of trying to rely on email questions later on, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, no, we'd be happy to have you. So hopefully you will decide to join us and move forward. And if not, no hard feelings. I'll still help you out if you decide to do the other one. So no big deal. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
My internet keeps going in and out.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay.
I was just saying, well, I'm happy with whatever decision you make. If you want to hang out with us, we'll be happy to have you.
Okay, so I live the closest to the Studio City, so I would definitely have you as my instructor. So that's a good thing. I've got your email address, so obviously you have mine because I did get your invitation and all that information today. So if I have any further questions, then I'll just go ahead and send you a quick email.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was very informative.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Real quick, David asked, oh yeah, I didn't realize that was, sorry. Young agents being a real estate agent. Yeah, look at young agents are going to have a little bit more of a harder time. I feel like you're going to have harder times with strangers. People who, are in your sphere, they're going to be able to trust you because they're going to know who you are, that sort of thing. You will definitely have to work harder to earn the trust pretty much for everybody because of your age. It is a setback, but the agents that I know now that got into it when they were 18, they're at the top of the game right now. So you sacrifice a little bit at the beginning to be, a good agent, and you sacrifice a little bit because you're on the young side, and it takes a couple of deals under your belt to kind of really gain your confidence. But there's no reason why you can't do it. And, it's a great career to get into, especially when you're young, because everybody will need houses. This is I can't say it's recession proof, but when COVID hit in March, in February, man, we had such high hopes for the year. And then, COVID hit and it was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Like everything's going to go crazy. It's all going to be in the dumps. Like everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen or whatever. And this ended up being probably the best year for real estate in the last 7-8 years since, the big recession in 2007. So it was just, we thought everything was going to go crazy, and or we thought it was going to go crazy in a bad way, and it went crazy in a fantastic way. So, I mean, it was really just the luck of the draw, I guess, So, being younger though, you're going to definitely have to work a little bit harder than other agents to gain that trust. And once you get that trust though, man, you'll be able to hold on to it for 30 years. You're going to be helping their kids as kids, because you're only gonna be like 40 when their kids are like, 25 and starting to buy a house. So it's good. We cover 15 chapters. Well, there's 15 chapters in each book. Who is it? Selena. We cover, if there's 15 chapters in the book, and we cover all 15 chapters over 6 classes. So it's usually between 2 and 3 classes per day that we cover. And yeah, so we cover all the chapters. Again, we just don't go super in depth with all of the chapters. We just kind of cover the high points and some of the more popular stuff that people want to know about. That's pretty much it. So if there are no more questions, it is 9:41. I'd like to get home so we can end this out. I hope to see you all on Wednesday. Kamai, I think I said that right. Frank, Selena, and David, thank you for hanging out with me for 40 minutes afterwards. Long A. Oh, Kamei? There we go. I think that's what long A means. Nice. All right. So hopefully I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And if not, it's okay. We'll still be friends. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Night. Bye.